What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to Learn How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That is your girl, Adara. I am Sharif, and we're going to have to wait for the chat to populate before we do our roll call that we borrowed off the Katina man. So we're going to go ahead and wait for everyone to move over from the other stream. We got Bears versus Bulls. D Loaf, what's up, my man? First in the chat today, hello, says Jack, Rich Naples, Ponzi, Fonzie, Andrew Chow, John. What's up, John? John E. Okay, we got a couple of Johns in the house. And then we got another one, John Yates. Okay, John is the name of the, and then we got John 9. How many Johns we got, baby? We got the one, we got Hans Beer, we got James Dell. I already said Ponzi, Fonzie. Alex, Jonathan, Ian, David. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome and thank you for joining us today. We are talking this whole week about entries and exits. Today, we got one that's near and dear to my heart. Entries and exits on small cap gappers. So that's exclusively what we're going to talk about. What was that, Chilean Nightmare? No topics today. We only have one thing and one thing only. We are talking about entries and exits on small cap gappers. And thankfully, we got a few of those right now. I'm involved in one of them. It goes by the name of ACAD. ACAD? Yeah, ACAD. So, Adara, would you call this a bull flag or bull pennant extraordinaire?
I would call this the dictionary definition of a bull pennant.
It's
with a beautiful little photo. And I was saying to Sharif off camera before we went live, I said, I love where you entered that, because I'm like, that is beautiful, that is textbook, that is an in the wild example for what we're talking about today. I will stop gushing for now.
That's
but
all
yeah,
good.
There we
I wish
go.
actually, okay, not to like criticize you or anything, but I wish I had a better entry. Put it that way. Look, I'm waiting here at the $half area, 28.5. I belong at 27.80. It'll populate on the position board in a minute, but looking for this one to break the $half. Why am I sitting there in front of the $half? Because I want to get out just before highs, okay? So obviously I missed this huge up move, but you're typically not going to catch those unless you're really in tune with the news and you got an eye on it. If you did, awesome. Shout out to you. I got it a little bit late as I was setting up, and here we go. We're in the 40s. I'm sitting exactly at 49s. So if it touches that 49 level so far, how far have we gotten up? We got up to 45. So just real close. We'll see if hopefully it doesn't tank on me before I get the fill, but it's been a minute since we traded these small cap gappers. Now, obviously, we've been talking about chart patterns in the past. This is one that I really want to show you guys for a bull pennant, all right? Why isn't a pennant and not a flag? Because it's got that triangular shape after the big move up. The big move up, that's the pole that holds up the pennant, the flag, what have you. And then what comes after it, that whole compression area, that triangle area, that's the actual pennant or the flag, depending on what we get. In this case, we clearly have a series of higher lows, and we had lower highs before it decidedly broke through that trend line. Hence, it's a pennant. And in fact, I was watching it, so I knew exactly where the buyers and sellers were. There was a monster seller there it is, baby. We get the so we're going to spin the money on that bad boy as we get that nice break through the $half there. Pleased as punch to take a line from my friend Adaro here to my left. So nice move. But the reason I got into this one and the reason I had my out at this level is because I was not looking for the test of the highs in case it huadunked. If it breaks through those highs, I can always get back in, okay? Now, what I was looking for here, obviously, was a making of higher lows to show me that buyers are overwhelming sellers on every single incremental trough. Every time we make a newer low after making a higher high, that new low is higher than the previous low, okay? That's what shows you that buyers are in control at that particular level. To add to that, when we got to $28, there was clearly an iceberg order. An iceberg order is a hidden seller. So you don't see them reflected here in the level 2. So you wouldn't see it on the ask side, the selling side of level 2. The left side is the buy side. The right side is the sell side. So I didn't see that seller reflected there. Usually they're reflected by a large degree or a large order. So it'll say, 50 lots, 100 lots, 200, 1,000 lots, whatever it is, whatever the case is, okay? You couldn't see any size there yet. It was not moving above that $28 area. That tipped the hand of that seller, and we kind of knew that he was there or she was there at that level, and therefore we kind of waited for buyers to kind of accumulate and push them through, given what had happened previously with the higher lows. So you kind of knew that was, I don't want to say an inevitability, but more likely than not. I'm going to talk a little bit about what to look for with respect to these small cap gappers, but I just want to complete my trade before we started going. We started yapping about this. Now, let's bring in the trusty side charts, and I've marked 5 small cap gappers today, guys, that I want to talk about. 2 of these are not tradable or shouldn't be traded, and we're going to talk about why. The number one thing that I look at for small cap gappers is, have they breached, have they moved up higher than the pre-market high after the bell? So 9:30 comes along, the bell rings, the liquidity starts flooding in. I want to see the pre-market high, the high made in that 4 a.m. to 9:29 a.m. slot, breached. If it hasn't been breached, I'm no longer interested. Why? Because a lot of these small cap gappers, what they do is they have a news catalyst that comes up in the morning. The algos push them up, or the market makers push them up, depending on who you believe and who you read. Essentially, there's a theory that the market makers push them up so that they can create liquidity for the move back down, but I don't have any proof of that. In any event, they make a big move up, typically on an algo spike, once the news item is released. The algos read the news item way faster. They're able to populate orders way faster than a human being, and then you usually see this huge spike up, followed possibly later by some human intervention. Here, let's look at one case in point, SPRC. Well, what the hell is this moving up for? First and foremost, I need to see what the news catalyst is on this, okay? Here it is. SPCE Spark shares are trading hard. The Katina man wants to mention Microsoft for anybody who's following along in the large cap world. Make sure to have a look at Softy. What's the look there, Katina man? And long? He's $1.50 in the money, and he mentioned 374. So keep your eye on that, guys, okay, for those following along with the Katina Man's long on Softy. But back to SPCE Spark, shares are trading higher. The company today issued a press release highlighting recent results for the MitoCare X Bio with its drug discovery platform. So we know we've got a catalyst. And then look what happens here on the 5-minute. That catalyst, what time does it hit? You don't even really need to be looking at the time of the release, but right there, you see it moved right at that 8:15. Shot up to that $8.80 area, all in the pre-market, okay? What did we do after the bell rang? This is where the bell rang right here. We didn't even come close to breaching the pre-market high. In fact, it's been quite bearish. Why? Because every move up into VWAP has been rejected. So right away, it doesn't meet my criteria for an after the bell trading setup. I'm not talking about before the bell. And after the bell trading setup, it is no go in my books. It has not breached the pre-market high, and therefore I put it on my S list. Another one, Adara, very similar to that SPRC, is this STTK. Same biz. 6:05 a.m. comes, and the news catalyst hits. The algos pump it. The market makers pump it, whatever. Moves up to 725. Then look what we've done. We haven't breached that pre-market high. We haven't even come close. We've been like almost $2 off it with a 542 high after the opening print. And we're also sub VWAP, but I'll get to that later, okay? Yeah. So right away, it doesn't meet my criteria for getting into a long position on a small cap gapper subsequent to bell. Let's look at some examples that do fit the mold. CCC, you heard Adara bring that to you this morning several times. She came in with a breaking news headline on the morning show with CCC moving up. She brought it to you earlier in upgrades and downgrades. This bad boy got an upgrade. It was running from yesterday. This is the 2-day look. So this is yesterday's price action, and then this is today's. What do we do here? What's the pre-market high on CCC from 4 a.m.? We have a $3.46 high. Right at the bell. Right at the bell. This is the bell right here, 9:30. On the first dang 9:30 candle, we break through that pre-market high. We break through 359. Look what it gives you. It gives you a 436 stop. So this one would be in my good books. It made a pre-market high, and almost immediately upon the bell ringing, it broke the pre-market high. This is tradable in my books. In addition to that, it is also above VWAP. If you've been watching the show, you know how I feel about trading small cap gappers if they are trading below VWAP. I'm talking about longs only. I don't usually short small cap gappers, okay? Just because I have my reason, I'm not going to get into that right now. So it's above VWAP. So if you've been watching the show, you know I don't trade these bad boys south of VWAP. So this one is giving you everything you need to see. But let's talk about the one that I actually took the trade on, which is ACAD. This one didn't move at all in the pre-market, meaning that its high was essentially yesterday's close. Where is that? $21.25. The first thing that it does at 9:30 is it breaches that level. So already it's in my good books. And then it develops into a very recognizable pattern, one that we talked about, I think on the first day that we talked about chart patterns, the bull flag. Oh baby, okay? The bull pennant in this case, pardon me, because we got a bit of a compression pattern here. So here you go. You can kind of draw the highs off the close. You know how I feel about closing prints versus wicks. There you go. And then you get a breach of that. And now it's holding above that level, doing a little bit of a dance right there. Okay, so I took this one for about a 70-penny winner. Nothing really to write home about, but not bad nonetheless. It's also above VWAP. So this one is tradable in my books. It's also being supported by a lot of volume. So I just wanted to show you, with respect to the stuff that we have in the wild today, what I would have done and why I chose to get in these ones and not the other. Last but not least, Adara, is this NXTP. This also ran yesterday, Adara, if you recall.
Yes, yeah.
This one started out its life yesterday in the pre-market at 65 pennies, and by the time 8 o'clock came around, it had broken through that $1.25, albeit on wicks. So this one was obviously moving from the day prior. Then 4 a.m. comes along today on NXTP, and we make a pre-market high of $1.19. Well, guess what? Right at that 9:30, 9:40 area, we've already breached that $1.19. So it's broken the pre-market high, okay? And therefore, it is tradable in my books. This is not a setup that I do with big caps, large cap. What's going on, Katina, man? The markets are tanking. I'm not even looking at anything because I got to do this whole thing. But Softy is tanking. It's now at 373.40. It's down 0.25%. If you're following the Katina man, he just wanted to update you there. Say again? He's covering more at this level. He's $3 in the money. And there we go. We're going to get Benjamin Franklin doing his little club dance there. All right, Benjamin. We got to get a little shoulder swag for the Benjamin. Was it the Katina man? Look at that. The production team is just like undefeated with their skills, eh? Oh, hold on. Oh, do it again. Do it again. Oh, I like that. I like that. I like it.
Oh my God, now I'm here. Hi.
We're having a good time.
It's like, yeah, Sean and I are moving places.
I know, right? There he is. Look
we
at
also
that,
know that,
bro.
like, the pinkish shirts, like, it's a funny time.
What makes it look proper is the background. The wallpaper is kind of the same.
Yeah, no,
right?
it's a very, like go Fabian and Ramin.
Fabian and Ramin are undefeated. Ram had a very interesting story from yesterday. We're not going to mention it on camera, obviously, unless she wants us to, of course. But she was involved in an incident. Oh, well, you said it. All right, I didn't say anything.
Sorry.
But,
I didn't say much. I'm so sorry.
We love Ram. We're just busting chops there. All right, so that's the look, guys, for the 5 small cap gappers that I had on my watch list today, and why I chose to get into two of them and not the other. Sorry, one of them and not the other, but I would have gotten to 2. Obviously, I like NXTP and I like ACAD. 3, Triple C, NXTP, and ACAD. I would have stayed away from STTK and SPRC because they did not break the pre-market highs. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to get in and get out, how to bamboozle your way. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I was literally just going to start writing down some questions because I have actually quite a few. Because I was saying, like, I was saying to Sharif off camera, I think this will be hopefully a good lesson because I trade small caps really not at all and I don't know much. So I'm really excited to learn and hopefully some other people can learn too. So please put your questions in the chat there. But yeah, so one thing I think my biggest question is, I guess, we're talking about how important it is to like plan your trades in advance, right?
Oh,
We've
yeah.
been saying this whole time, but a lot of these small cap runners, they don't give you really much notice. They invite themselves to the party. You don't have to invite them first. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, at what point do you start planning a trade on a small cap gapper, and then I guess B, like, do you look for a larger sense of past levels? And I say that for points of entry and exit because I know sometimes these ones are working with levels they haven't really seen before in a very long time.
No, very great question.
Thank you.
Great question. All right, so first and foremost, right when I get to work, I turn on my computer, right? Believe it or not. I load up my platform, and I know, right? And I have my scanner on my top screen. You can't see my screens. Maybe you guys can show them the back shots here so that we can show them the whole layout if you can, Chilean Nightmare. He'll do that in a second. I load up my gap scanner, and my gap scanner is sorting everything by percentage up on the day, okay? So change percentage. And what I'm looking for are things that are up significantly on the day. I don't exactly have a cutoff, but I like to see things at least above 25% from the previous day's close. I won't be interested in them if they're not up 25%. Now, there's also another thing that I need to mention here is that these small cap gappers come in waves, okay? When one of them makes a big move, a triple digit move, 100+%, say on a Monday, chances are that on Tuesday, hey, go for it. Yeah, okay, so perfect. Thank you for that, Fabian. So you can see I got a 4-monitor setup. This is the top one. This is my gap scanner right here. So what you guys are looking at, my top screen, this is all the gap scanner. I can't bring it down because we're not sponsored by these people, but that's what I use every morning, that particular one right there. And then over here, let me just move this. This is my watch list. So this is all like the large cap, the serious stuff, guys, okay? The stuff that, doesn't show up today and is gone tomorrow. This is the serious stuff. So these are my 2 screening screens. Over here, I usually have these charts that I got over here. I got them on this screen, and this is my trading screen. So if I can move that for you guys, you'll be able to see it. All right, so then this is the chart. You can't see it because of the glow. This is the level 2, and that's the time and sales. So that's my setup right there, baby. All right? So when I get here, okay, digressing. I was talking about these guys coming in waves. So small cap cappers, I believe they come in waves. So if you get one on Monday that hits triple digits, chances are on Tuesday, you're gonna have at least another one that's maybe up high single digits, maybe triple digits. And lately, we've been seeing multiple triple digit small cap gappers come after one kind of sets the stage and gets things rolling. Don't ask me why they come in waves, but it's something that I've observed over like the past few years, and it seems to be a pretty consistent thing. Why am I telling you this? Because I feel there is an appropriate time to really double down on the size with small cap gappers, and then there's a different time where I'd like to lay back, and if I'm going to trade them because nothing else is moving, I'm going to trade it with smaller size. Okay, the whole point here is to kind of catch it when it's hot. You don't want to catch the small cap gappers when they're weak and there's the highest one on the day is like 30% up. No, you want to catch them when you've got multiple ones running. It seems to be when they start squeezing a bit more for whatever reason. That's the first thing. I want to know the context in which I'm trading. Are small cap gappers hot at the moment? Yes or no? If they are hot, I'm looking to see which ones are forming and how they're looking. All right. So in the pre-market, I want to chart the highs right away. So if there's been a clearly established high in the pre-market, I'm drawing a horizontal line right there. I want to know what the high is. If I see a bull flag pattern forming in the pre-market, I want to chart the top of that bull flag as well, because that could be a very important resistance level, or even later a support level for the small cap gappers. Next, I'm looking to see what the dang news catalyst is, okay? And you're going to say, well, Sharif, I'm just getting in this game. I mean, I don't know what's an important news catalyst and what's a so-so not important. That comes with practice, practice, and practice. The more you see, the more you're going to know about whether something is important or not, and it's going to. What's going on over there? Hello, Sean. The more you see, the more you're going to know whether a news catalyst is important. Third thing I'm doing, I'm looking at the float. I don't want to say the lower the float, the better, because I don't think that that's something appropriate to say, because you can get blown out with low floats. The point is to say the lower the float, the more volatility you are likely to encounter, because the more chances you trade the entire float, maybe once, twice, 3, 4 times in that whole day. So for example, Triple C, or yeah, I think Triple C has a float of 35. What was it? No, Brenda was telling me, we were looking at a different one today. Let me just see what the Triple C is. Triple C has, Quadruple C, pardon me, has a float of 45 million shares. Well, Quadruple C has done 110 million shares already on the day, meaning that it's already traded its float twice. And by the time we're done on the day, it's probably going to be 3 or 4 times. Why is that important? Because that means liquidity is churning. I can get in, I can get out safely, okay? So that's important to me. The second thing is, if there's an established pre-market high that we have already traded down from, what's going on, guys?
Sharif is happening now.
Yeah. If there is an established pre-market high that I've charted, I'm going to set a resting order above that pre-market high in case it triggers. I want to get long at that level. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about there. So right away, once there's a pre-market high, I'm setting up an order at that level to trigger if we break. Now, for example, on something like SPRC and STTK, that wouldn't have triggered. Come to the screen, Fabian, please. So if I had put in an order right here, let's put the order right there. So we put a buy order at $8.81. Clearly, that won't likely trigger today, all right? And then I can put it as a day order, so it can cancel right at 4 o'clock. I don't have to put it as a good till canceled order. Different types of orders, guys, okay? Same thing with SPRC. Once we have that pre-market established high, I'm putting my order through the break of the high at, what is that, 882. I already said that, didn't I?
I think you meant STTK.
Yeah, STTK, excuse me. STTK is the other one. The charts look awfully similar where you have...
They're really similar.
Right? I put it at 730, for example. Obviously, we didn't get anywhere near there. But if I had done that for Quadruple C, pardon me, if I had put my buy order on Quadruple C right at the pre-market high at 348, it'd be a print factor and I'd be over $1 in the money. Clearly, I didn't do that. So that's the look there. That is what I kind of... that's like my organized setup for these small cap gappers on the day, Adair.
Yeah, no, and I like to, I think what's interesting too is that you're using the pre-market highs and the pre-market levels to help kind of gauge entrance and exit, right? Because we're talking about in the past as well, I know you say you kind of use pre-market, you rely on it with regards to kind of entrances and exits, right? So I think it makes sense that we're using that, especially with regards to small caps, which the most recent levels that are in play probably are, you know, and a lot of times it is going to be those ones that are moving pre-market. So I have a question as well.
Yeah.
What happens if a small cap, and I don't know how common this is too, but I know sometimes things look at different catalysts. What happens if a small cap pops during the day? Like, is that something that, yeah, I don't know if that, like, how would you enter or exit
like
that?
ACAD.
Oh,
it was
ACAD,
exactly
yeah,
like
that one
ACAD.
did pop during the day.
So let's talk about that one, because it's a little bit different, right? So the reason I talk about these small cap gappers and their importance in the pre-market is oftentimes the news catalyst for these bad boys is released at 6:30, 7, 8, 8:30, something like that. And that's by design. These companies just don't accidentally release the catalyst at that time. There's a reason behind that, which is not important to us at the moment. But the point is to know that this is typically what they do. So when there is a small cap gapper, it will usually show its hand in the pre. And so therefore you have something to work with there. And that something for me is the pre-market high. That's what I'm looking at. I need that pre-market high breached by 9:30 or, you know, by 10 o'clock, let's say, giving it half an hour to breach that level. If it doesn't, to me, it's not in play and I just move on, all right? But ACAD, this one kind of got going after the bell. And like I said, when I first started this whole conversation about ACAD, unless you are watching ACAD or you're watching the news blotter and you're just waiting for something amazing to come out, you're probably not going to catch this first 5-minute candle here. Now, you may catch the second one. It may show up on your scanner and then you may punch into it, but you're punching in at highs. How do you know it's not going to retrace at that point? What makes you know it's going to continue they're up from 24, which is the ending of the first 5-minute candle. How do you know it's going to continue to 27? So you kind of take a shot in the dark. That to me is just not the way I like to trade. Yeah. So what I need to do is I need to watch the whole move and then see what it does after that. That means leaving obviously money on the table, but it means also less risk.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm not chasing it blindly into highs. So in this particular case, Chilean Nightmare, what happened was it bullpented, and that gave me an opportunity because then I was able to observe the incrementally higher low, higher low, higher low, and then also we got lower highs, therefore making a compression pattern. So you get in on the low end, which is what I did here, and then you wait for the breach of the uptrend line. And in my particular case, I saw size at 28.50, and I literally got top wick on the day. Okay, literally.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, you know, a little stroke of good luck. Let's not lie. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's how I personally would trade these ones that form aftermarket. Nary will I chase a stock up as it's making these monster moves from where this one closed yesterday? 21 and a quarter Adara. It popped into 28.84, almost 29. So I'm not chasing that on the pole. Let's call that the pole.
Yeah, the pole, right? The flag pole.
I'm not chasing that. I'm gonna wait until it pulls back, shows me a discernible pattern, something that I can recognize. I want to see what's happening between buyers and sellers, who's winning the battle at those levels. And when you see higher lows, you know that the buyers are winning the battle.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I would do there, and that's how I would trade an after the bell pre-market gap.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No
and I think too, what I like about this strategy is it shows that it is really similar to kind of trading like, you know, a non-small cap gap or a non-gap or just like something that, you know, a small cap that blew up, because you do still need to be patient. You still don't want to rush into moves, especially because a lot of these guys tend to have a skosh of volatility, I would say.
Yes.
A lot of these small cappers, right? So I think it makes sense. Like I like how you pointed out, you will miss some of the move on something like ACAD, but then you were able to watch and wait and be patient and then get an even better movement to the upside. And then also, because you followed your patterns, you had discipline. So I just really like, I know you said you didn't love your entry in that, but I think it's a good entry, and I really like the principles that you used to come to that conclusion. And
thank you.
You know, the beak wetter, especially because that was the big question that I had, I find it's kind of what would make me nervous is you don't really have other levels to fall back on necessarily with some of these small cap gappers. So I do appreciate that you kind of talked us through all that.
Sure.
And I feel like I learned a lot from that. You know, maybe something that I would approach should I ever want to approach some of these small cappers. Actually, I have another question. Sorry, I just realized.
Yeah, go for it.
So, and this might be more of a linguistic or a semantic thing.
Okay.
But so a lot of like the small caps you're talking about today, like ACAD, if you will, that one, that's like I think like $28 range, right? So is it different trading one of those to like a penny stock in terms of how you're planning your entry and exit?
So I want to mention that to you. Price really doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's market cap.
Okay, cool.
So it depends on what the outstanding float is, right? And then based on the price, that will give you the market cap, right? So let's look at ACAD, okay? So ACAD is market cap wise 4.651 billion. Now that could be because it has a 32% move. Say it again. Chart, yes, ACAD. Well, let me show you right here. Right there. So ACAD has a 4.61 billion market cap, but that was probably because we moved already $7 on the day. I trade these based on market cap, not on price.
I like that you say that, because I know you'll trade like anyone regardless of price. Sorry, I continue.
Yeah, no, but to be fair, I wanted to preface that and say that sub $1 stocks have a different type of trading strategy. Why? Because we know that $1 area will likely be a ceiling. We want to sometimes see that ceiling breached before we get into it. Some people like to short off the rejection of the $1. So you're accurate in the sense that they're not all the same just because the market cap is small or large. Sub $1 stocks have a little bit of a different nuanced trade. So you're bang on with that.
I appreciate that.
By the way, I'm long the future here at 16.6. So we'll see what this one does. I'm not, we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking for a possible VWAP retracement here. A big move down on the future. I'm looking for 16.6 to hold up. Maybe wet my beak here on and out at 16.25. Nicely in the money so far, but trying to pack some patience. We'll see if we get that hold. But that's neither here nor there. It's a big move down. That's no doubt about that off the highs. Today on the future. So we'll see whether this holds up or not. I didn't really give it enough time to develop. I didn't feel like it was going to stay at 16.6 for all that long. So I just kind of jumped into it.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah, any questions, guys, with respect to small cap gappers? I would love to talk about this, to the best of my ability. I'll try to answer your questions. It's kind of hard to articulate entries and exits exactly for these small cap gappers because they're so volatile and sporadic in their price action. But the one thing that I want to leave you with is draw out the dang pre-market high, okay? If it doesn't breach the pre-market high, stay away from it. You may make money. I'm not saying you won't, but your chances become less and less, right? Because then typically it's going to trend down. If it was going to continue higher, it would break that pre-market high. At least that's the way I see things there. Who was asking me something about nat gas?
I saw that too.
You saw that? Yeah. I looked at it for a second. Yeah, it's M. Allen. Sharif, nat gas is trying to bait you. Look, dude, I lost my few $100 on nat gas, and I'm probably gonna recycle the money that I had in the UNG into Goog, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not getting baited into this one again, so just gonna steer clear of nat gas for a while. Adair, all right, I'm gonna wet my beak here, on and out. Oh baby, we just took nice 20 points in the money on the MNQ, baby, getting in that 16.6 hold. Do we get back? Let's see if we get back into that 16.650. We'll see if we get that nice little run up there. Are you able to see if anybody's asking questions?
I did see one. It wasn't really a question, but I saw something earlier that I actually also wanted to talk about. So basically, and then I fully forgot about it until you mentioned, looking for the chat for questions. I'm going to try to find, they basically said that I forget who you are in the chat, I'm so sorry, but basically it was something about the idea that it must be really tempting to get into these small cappers after the move has kind of died, right? So I would say, I guess maybe this isn't really a question as much as it is, I think, maybe something to reflect on. Yes, but I would say, be patient, wait for your levels. Just because it has crazy volatility and maybe moves up, in some cases over 1,000%, cough, cough, tempest, a couple months ago. You know what I mean? You still need to be patient, and you still need to hold to the principles. So I would say, that's just something I kind of thought of in the chat that I wanted to put out there. Some good questions. Oscar plays. When do I know if it's a pump and dump stock? That's a great question, man. There's obviously not going to be a headline that says, hey, I'm a pump and dump stock, come trade me. It's not going to do that. What you're looking for, try to see if it's a quick move up and then a huge retracement. Case in point, let's look at this Chilean nightmare over here. STTK, you get that big algo spike, whether it was the algos pumping it or whether it was the market makers, doesn't really matter. What you had is a huge move up and then a huge move down. Now, this was tradable off yesterday's close, but I wouldn't advocate that trade. I think it's just a bit of an anomaly. This line right here, where this candle wick, that's yesterday's close, and it bounced off it to the T. So I would look for patterns like this to kind of know, okay, this is not one that I want to trade. Similarly, SPRC, same biz right here. We're all looking at stuff in the wild. Big move up, incremental move down. This is like beautiful for the shorts. I mean, the shorts are salivating on trades like this. The only problem is SPRC and STTK, they're not shortable on my platform. They're shortable at Day Trade the World, probably for a fee. But, for most people that have retail trading accounts at home, they're likely not going to be able to get shorts on these bad boys. So, what's the point in looking at how good of a short it was? So that's the first thing that I want to say. It's not going to say, hey, look, I'm pumping up on its forehead. You're going to have to watch the price action to see, is there steady inclination up? Are there real buyers, real traders participating in this? Or was it just a big move up to kind of trap all the longs, and then we sell off and they make a killing on the short because they have access to shorts? Yeah. So that's what I want to say to you. Maru, how do we set up scan TOS for small cap gappers? Here's my setup. I can't show you my setup, but I'm going to tell you what I filter for, okay? Number one, I'm looking for top percentage gainers. So on my scanner, it has pre-made scanners for me. Top percentage losers, top percentage gainers, top percentage after hours gainers, top percentage after hours losers. There's just so many, it's a ridiculous amount. Now, the proprietary stuff, or not proprietary, the things that I filter for, number one, I want to see at least, and I change this from time to time, I want to see at least 250,000 shares of volume done. If you've traded less than a quarter mil of shares
I'm not interested in you, and I don't want to see you, right? So I'm gonna filter you away. In addition to that, I'm filtering by price. I want to know everything that's 85 pennies and above. 85 is not a random number. 85 pennies kind of alerts me to when something is knocking on the door of that $1 area, right? And there's reasons, I just finished explaining to Adara why sub $1 stocks are traded a certain way and stocks north of $1 are trading a different way. That $1 level seems to be a bit of a barrier. It's also different on the level 2. You trade 4 decimal places, sub $1, 2 decimal places north of $1. So it's a little bit different. So that's what I filter for. Only 2 things. 250,000 shares, minimum volume, minimum price, 85 pennies. And that alerts me again to that $1 approach. So that's what I would say to you, Maru. Smita Patel. Sometimes small caps moves up. Where do you keep your stop? Great question.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a great question. So let's have a look here. Look at CCC absolutely pumping to the high side. Okay, so here let's take CCC case in point, all right? Let's just say, Smita, that we got in, like we said, on the break of the pre-market high. So this is the 4 a.m. candle right here, okay? And the 4 a.m. candle has a high, Smita, of $3.46. So I put my buy order over here at $3.47, all right? So I'm getting in literally right here. So now, it triggers, right? It triggers right there. This is the 930 candle. It pops up into 961. But look at the subsequent candle. Comes all the way back down. So here, VWAP would have been an absolute excellent area to have your stop. But not every small cap gapper is going to respect VWAP like this. So you're going to have to basically look for a lower low. You know how I feel about lower lows and higher highs? What I would do is go on a wider time frame like the 10 and see if there's a discernible lower low over here. And to me, it would have been that $2.75, $2.60 area. The break of this area would have definitely got me out. So you're going to have to risk here about 60 cents. Now, that may be more than you actually make on the move up. So you may have to get a little bit subjective with where you place your stop. And the stop placement on small cap gappers, because they're so volatile and sporadic in their price movement, is not as easy as it is on the large cappers, where you have clearly defined levels on the Metas, the Amazons, the Googles of the day. The small cap gappers, because they're so volatile, they're going to have sporadic price action. So you're going to have to kind of play around with that one a little bit. But what I would say to look for is, where is VWAP trading relative to the price? Maybe you want to keep your stop below VWAP. Is there a defined, very clear lower low that you can say, okay, if it breaks this level, I'll cut it at this level? In this particular case on quadruple C, there really isn't a really nice lower low because of this big move up. The lower low takes us almost 80 pennies lower than our entry, and that's a little bit too much in my book for a small cap gapper. Yeah. So I hope that helps. It's continuing to pump to the high side, both ACAD and quadruple C, both stocks, by the way, that broke their pre-market highs. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess it's just about like staying true to your principles and then also respecting, the principles of trading in general, while recognizing that these names are going to move a little bit differently than a mega cap. Would I guess be kind of my...
Can you say that again, sir?
Yeah, sorry. So, I like
ooh, look at that angle. Jeez Louise. They're enjoying themselves up there today.
Killing it.
Like, look at this angle over here. Okay.
Look at you. You look like you're like starring in a Netflix show. Like you got like the blurred background. You're all in focus. I love it. These guys
are doing their thing back there. I love it.
But yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love this angle. Hello. But yeah, so what I think is really interesting is how it's basically the idea that, you still have to hold on to your principles. You still have to hold on to your risk, while acknowledging your risk approach for stops might be a little bit different than what you're used to.
Yeah, sadly.
Just because of the way they move. So I appreciate you addressing that. Also, I like the question from Tobias Hernandez.
Go for it.
Always seen him asking really interesting questions in the chat. Thoughts on spotting whales buying and selling versus critical psychological levels being triggered?
Well, whale spotting, you're really going to have to do a lot of volume analysis. I know that people try to whale spot using options. The Nigerian brothers do that. If you're not familiar with their work, go search up the Nigerian brothers. They have an entire book of how to spot whales using options, unusual options activity. my understanding is that's more for like the larger cap, mid cap, mega cap stocks, but I don't know if that's a hard and fast rule. Personally, what I'm looking for is continuity on small caps. I don't want to see a huge move up and a huge move down, giving up the entire move. If I see that, that's it. I showed you guys STTK and SPRC as examples of ones that I purposely would not look at. Otherwise, they wouldn't be up on my chart, okay? But yeah, I would keep your eye on volume. Look for consistent volume. Look again for the break, the pre-market high. Look for, you know, consistency in the price action, not huge swings up, huge swings down. Those are likely to get you in a lot of trouble, and the really low float ones typically will do that. So, all right, let's move down here. Let's see what other questions are, because, you know, I was up there for so long on the top of the chart. Okay, there we go. Hey, Sharif. Why don't you short them when they...
I guess that's Quadung, is what I think, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And the reason is, number one, usually shorts are not available as readily for the small cap gappers. At Day Trade, the world will almost always have shorts, but they're going to be pricey, okay? There's going to be a fee for them. Depending on the demand, it's an auction-based system. So if the demand for the small cap gappers is high, you're typically going to have a more... it's like cost per share, okay? So, and minimum we can get on the floor here is 100. So you have to buy a minimum of 100. With respect to my own platform, like if you were day trading at home using Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade, or whatever, I don't know who owns it now. Schwab bought TD Ameritrade. Or Schwab bought Ameritrade. They're not called TD Ameritrade anymore. They're called Schwab Ameritrade. If you're trading on Thinkorswim, if you're trading on IBKR or whatever E-Trade, it's harder to secure shorts for small cap gappers because they're just not that readily available. So to me, the long strategy on the small cap gappers was a little bit easier to execute than the short strategy. But I understand if you're, you know, with a broker that specializes in shorts, you may have access to those. And if you do, I think that would be a fantastic little trade. And I wanted to digress for a minute here and to talk about the futures, because we're doing that wick dance. Come to the chart, Chilling Nightmare. We're doing that wick dance at 16.6, where we wick down into the 16.6 and then all the closing prints are north. So this is very interesting here for a nice possible long. I already wet my beak on it on the break of VWAP, the touch of VWAP right here, getting top wick, but now we're seeing a possible more prolonged move form as we come back into the 16.6 area and get bought up. All the closing prints above 16.6. This looks interesting. Now, you don't actually have to take this on the NQ or the MNQ in case you don't want to trade futures because of leverage or you don't have access to it. You can base your charting on the futures contract, and then you can take like the triple Qs. Okay, or you can take the TQQs, or you can you know, short the SQQQ. These are all equivalent style trades. So I just want to mention we're doing that dance, guys, at 16.6, where it looks like we're going to hold that level, and we're already pumping back up here. So good look on the future. Any other questions with respect to entries and exits on small cappers? Let's have a look here. How do you know when to take profit? And if it goes down, then back up after, do you get back in? Look, these ones are not going to have clearly defined levels. You can try to look for levels on the chart of small cap gappers, but chances are they haven't been at these levels in quite some time. So I would look back as far as a year, okay, to see if there's any bag holders at any specific levels, right? Bag holders mean people that bought at that level, that have been holding it, waiting it for it to come back up, and then break even and by selling it. You don't want those people. You don't want to be involved with those people, because if there's a lot of them, they can keep the price below a fixed level, which is where they got in, okay? So first thing I do, look at the daily, look as far back as a year to see if you have any, you know, clearly defined highs that you can say, oh, look, there was a lot of volume done in that day. There could be bag holders at this level. If you do have that kind of situation, you might want to liquidate before that or at that level or just a smidge below that level. If it pops down, if it comes down and pops back up, what I'm looking for there is, did we make a higher low? Did we make a newer low? If we made a newer low, then the trend is not intact. It could be zigzaggy, right? That's not what you want. I'm a trend trader. I'm looking for consistently stronger buyers, overwhelming sellers, creating a higher low situation. That's what I personally look for. So if it comes back down, where is it coming back to? Is it making a higher low, or are we making a newer low? So that's what I'd be looking at there, Dara.
Yeah, I was going to say too, one thing that I was thinking when you said shorting, why it might be hard is because what I've noticed with those small caps, I think especially STTK today, we seem to be kind of doing that a little bit, SPRC as well, is when they like fall or I guess get weaker, they don't really like give you much to play with. They just kind of swoop. You know what I mean? Just kind of like get deflated like a hot air balloon. You just poke it and then it, you know, it's out, right? So I think there wouldn't be much energy to play with a short as well. That would be like, I think kind of my takeaway.
But you wouldn't be getting into STTK, Dara.
Pardon?
You wouldn't be getting into STTK.
That's true too, because you can't
right?
short
Because because it didn't break the pre-market high. This one's on the S list.
Oh yeah, I was just talking to you about shorts because I know you were saying why you don't short small caps. I was thinking part of it too might be that once they kind of fizz out, they don't really give you much to do.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That was kind of my, I worded it really poorly though.
Yeah,
that was kind of my take. Like even because people were asking why don't you short? Like if you can short, I just think it's because like what I've noticed with these is when they kind of fall or when they kind of fizz, they still don't move that much.
Yeah. You may be accurate on that. The real reason that I don't short them is, number one, they're hard to get shorts for, or when you buy shorts, you got to buy them in clumps of 100, so that eats away from your P&L. So you have to make a certain amount of money on them.
Yeah, and then they might not move enough to. Yeah.
Exactly. You may not make enough on them to pay for the shorts. I'm not saying that that's a hard and fast rule, but that's just one that I follow.
Yeah, no, yeah, sorry. I was just thinking that was something that I kind of noticed there, but I know what you mean. Like I think generally, I understand like generally the reason being that, you know, you don't want to have all these shares and then you need to have bang for your buck, and some of these small caps, they just do not have that when they kind of fizz.
So SwiftCart asks, would you short ACAD now if you had an option? Before I answer that, can you explain to me why you would short? What's your personal opinion about shorting ACAD, SwiftCart? So explain to me what you're seeing on the chart. Come to the chart, guys. What you're seeing on the chart that says to you, this looks like it's an interesting area to short. Is it because we're topping out at this base over here? Is it because we're getting into the near the highs at that 28.60, 29-ish area? What are you seeing? Because I'm not seeing anything here that interests me in shorting. I'd like to know what your opinion. I don't mean to put you on blast, SwiftCart, but explain to me here what you're seeing that entices you to get into the short. Rushaba Shah, Sharif, could we view today's QQQ movements? No, we're talking about small cappers, my friend, okay? I would not short ACAD, said Stock Blaster. I agree with you, my friend. I would not short it either. It does not look like it's a good short to me. I could be wrong, but at this level, unless it really rejects off the 29 high and it tanks, I have no interest in shorting a small cap gapper that's trading above VWAP anyway, as well. All right, Oscar plays. When is there a restriction to shorts? To short or longs, how many % change does a stock have to make? So I think what you're maybe talking about is the short sale or the short sale restriction rule, the SSR. So if a stock drops 10% lower than the previous day's close, it becomes short sale restricted. That doesn't mean you can't short it, okay? It means you have to wait for an uptick, a move up in the price in order to get short. Meaning what? If it's continuously coming down, you can't pile into the short and push it down even further. You're gonna have to wait for it to curl back up, come into a higher point, hit on the ask rather than the bid before you'll be able to get short. And if you put an order, it just won't trigger. So that's what the short sale restriction rule is. Shout out to Adam, gotta be honest. Yeah, I just tell you the truth, man. Let's see what SwiftCart said. I think most people are excited to take the profits from 7 points. But that wasn't what I was asking, my friend. I was asking you what you see on ACAD that says to you, this is a good short setup. I don't see anything. I see higher lows and higher highs after a huge bull flag forming. This doesn't yell short to me, and it's above VWAP as well. So I think most people, yeah, that's just the same comment he said there. Okay. All right, Atif. Sharif, can you please tell me about the max percentage you have made in small cap, if you do not mind? I have no idea, my friend. I got no idea. It's a good question, but I have no idea. Money compound. Mr. Sharif, can I please get your view on Upstart? Thank you. So we're going to try to focus just right now, guys, on small caps. And then after, we can take a break and look at some other stuff. Any questions or anything you have to say?
Yeah, there was some Monet Seabreeze in the chat. I love that name. It is very, it evokes a beautiful painting, a beautiful day. And their question as well, more on float, on small cap gappers, and then some question marks. I guess they want you to talk more about the float.
Yeah, so
aspect.
The float's very interesting. Great question.
Thank you, Monet Seabreeze.
Yes, float essentially means the amount of shares available for trade on the public markets, on the secondary market. The primary market is with the IPO and the initial thing. The secondary market is when it's put on an exchange for people to trade, okay? And there is X amount of shares. So remember ARM? When ARM went to IPO, SoftBank took ARM back public after taking it private in 2018. So they didn't put the entire amount of the company available for trading. It was a certain percentage. It was a small percentage, meaning, so its total market cap is X, but you're only able to trade Y percentage of that market cap, okay? So you need to know how many shares there are available for trading. It's less important on large cap, mid cap, mega cap stocks, and much more important on these micro cap, small cap stocks. Why? Because like we looked at with CCC, let me just, let me get this out of the way. What the hell is going on over here, bro? How do I get this up? Oh, there we go. Got it. Just allow me a minute. I'm having trouble here. There we go. So let's look at CCC, okay? So this one, this is quadruple C, up 90 some odd %. The company has a float of, I'll tell you in a sec, 45.3 million, all right? That's how many shares are available to trade on the public markets right now. Yet the stock has done 128 million shares of buying and selling on the day. Meaning what? Meaning that we've already traded the float almost 3 times around. Why is that important? Because when you're getting into a small cap capper, you need to know that there's liquidity. It also shows you interest. Some people call this relative volume, RVol, right? Whereas if the average volume for quadruple C on my scanner is 3.42 million shares. That's what it typically trades on a day. Today it's done 128. So the float rotation is something that's super important in small cap gappers because it shows interest, it shows a lot of liquidity, and that's what you're looking for, especially on a very risky, let's call it that, risky stock. You need to be sure that if I get in, I can get out, right? You're not going to be trapped there with a huge spread of 10 pennies and you're holding some 1,000 odd shares. That's why that's important. Go ahead.
I have a question actually, and I was meaning to ask it earlier, and then I forgot, and I want to make sure that this is kind of related to what we're saying, but I guess because it has to do with exits here. What happens when you are in a small cap gapper and then it halts with regards to because if it halts to the upside, I would assume it would change your exit strategy potentially, right? Depending on how much it halts up. And if it halts down, I assume you probably have to some things as well. Sorry, it's kind of a weird question.
No, it's fair.
Yeah,
absolutely. Halts is one of those tricky things where number one, if you're in an up halt, that's usually a good thing because it's usually taking you higher. But sometimes what happens from an up halt, you can open lower, right? So personally, I don't like trading stocks that are halting all that much. I try to stay away from them. Try to stay with the ones that can stay open. But when halts are a thing, I like to use the halt levels as kind of like support and resistance levels, where I'll chart. Well, it gets a little tricky when there's like 20 halts. All of a sudden, you have so many horizontal lines on your charts. But what I've noticed is that when there's not too many halts, a fair 3, 4, whether up or down, you can chart those halt levels as support and resistance. And so if let's just say you halted at $4.50 and you opened up at $5.25. Sometimes what I like to do is set up dip trades at that $4.50 area because it'll wick down right into that area and then it'll wick back up, and then you can get in and get out like in a few seconds and make some good money. It's a risky trade, not one I would suggest to anybody who's not experienced, especially newer traders, try to stay away from that kind of stuff until you're really experienced. Try to focus on the stuff that is, clearly definable. Taking pre-market highs, looking at the catalyst, looking at the float, etc. That's personally what I would say about halts, but I try to stay away from the ones that are halting too much.
I appreciate that because I think too, part of it, especially as someone who is a new trader, still in the sim, one of my first trades ever was on a small cap that halted while I was in it. So I think, that kind of was scared me away from small caps. So I appreciate what you're saying, because that one was halting earlier in the day. I should not have gotten involved. That? Yeah, AXLA. AXLA is, we're not friends. But basically, yeah, so I just wanted to ask that with regards to that because I think that's what scared me away from small caps. And I think, if people have kind of, I guess, are aware of them, I think, that's something to keep in mind there. Yes, also, I have another question. Go for it. So I know what you've said about, with regards to VWAP in terms of entry with small caps, if it's below VWAP, I won't get into a long on it. But are there any other indicators that you would look at? Obviously, if it has, if it has confluence, shout out to Obi. But are there any other not influencers? Indicators that you would consider, with small caps? Are there any that you find to be kind of effective at gauging an entry?
I love the previous day's close. So if we bounce off or if we come down into the previous day's close, I'll definitely be looking to see if it's going to bounce at that area. Also, if we have a clearly definable low area on the daily chart, if there's been a lot of action on that small cap gapper and it's had time to develop a clear base, a clear low, I'll be very interested in getting a long off that low as well. But one that you don't really need to get into right away. And if you do get into it right away, you can have a really tight stop because you're looking for that particular level to hold. So I love the previous day's close. I'm looking at any definable bottoms on the daily chart or a wider time frame like the 4 hour, the 1 hour. That's what I'd really be interested in if I was really kind of forced to get long below VWAP. I'd be looking at those particular levels. I don't particularly care about the 50 and the 200 on small cap gappers. To me, I mean, I may be wrong about this, but I like those particular indicators for some of the, I don't want to call them real stocks because it's kind of like disparaging
the stocks that are working out. You know what I mean? The stocks that have the gains.
There we go.
Thank you. But yeah, no, I just wanted to, I know you also sometimes, mentioned the 7-day and the 20-day MA for small cappers. Did you remember that as well?
Yes, we'll talk a little bit about that. There's a different setup we'll talk about in a little bit with the 7 and the 20. Day trading, Singh. Sharif, I find large caps so much easier, and he puts easier in quotations, to trade than small caps. Managing risk seems a lot easier, especially when trading slower movers like the TQQQ. Would you agree? And do you find it easier? 100% agree with you. Yes, small caps are harder to trade. It doesn't mean that if you don't become a specialist in them, they won't actually be easier for you than the large cappers. But I think offhand, large cappers present you more definable levels for look, this 190 level on Apple, that's the $10 level. That 200 level on Apple, that's a $200 level. And this is something very clear to a lot of people looking at that particular stock. Also, the previous day close seems to be very important on these large caps. I was going to say VWAP, but VWAP sometimes features it, sometimes it doesn't. I find them to be more predictable in their actions than the small caps, which could have somebody come in there with a big account and absolutely rocket it to the high side or rocket it down. Harder, much, much harder to do that with large cap, mega cap names. The Chilean Nightmare has now put in a new poll in the chat, so make sure to get your vote on, baby. The poll goes as follows. What's your main streaming platform? This is a good one.
I like this
Netflix,
one.
Disney Plus, Prime Video, or HBO Max. So I can say the one that I watch the most is Netflix. Thanks, mommy and daddy, for a password check.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with some
and
Prime
VPNs.
here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote for Prime Video here.
Go.
There we go. Yeah, because I put my vote in there. I love Law and Order. I was saying earlier to Sharif, I'm a huge Law and Order fan.
Okay.
They have a lot of Law and Order on Prime. They have a lot of my British shows on Prime. They have all of Degrassi on Prime. If I ever feel like watching that, you know.
You watch old Degrassi?
Oh yeah.
Canadian old Degrassi?
Oh, 100%.
No, 80s Degrassi?
I watched some 80s Degrassi, also some Drake era Degrassi. Yeah, I will like, you know, kind of, but yeah, they have all, like, every era of Degrassi except for the one that was exclusively produced for Netflix.
Okay.
On Amazon Prime.
The Chilean Nightmare just told me that his former teacher used to write for Degrassi, so he's got a connection
jealous.
there, baby. Shout out to Fabian.
That's very cool.
I'm gonna have to vote
Yeah.
Netflix. I do like Prime Video, and let me tell you why. Because they have Unsolved Mysteries, and you know how I feel about the old
You don't
Unsolved
like the
Mysteries.
Netflix Unsolved
No,
Mysteries.
bro.
I know you hated on
no,
that.
and I have a bone to pick, sorry, with
Beef
the
to
new
pick is fine. That's fine.
with the new Unsolved Mysteries. Number one, it's one story the entire show. No, that's not how it was with the old one. You had like unexplained death, kidnapping, and like all these different titles. You had multiple stories within the same show. That was number one. Number two, where's the narrator, bro? You're gonna do Robert Stack like that? Robert Stack was the OG of the 80s. At least try and replace him. There's no narrator. There's nobody to scare me, right? Like so Robert Stack, I would have
You
trouble
had
going.
nightmares about him.
Yeah, you terrified me as a kid, Robert Stack. I love him. And number three, the stories were way too long-winded. I mean, I don't want to know every nuanced detail about your life. Just tell me the story. Hurry up, man. Yeah, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Sorry, just lost Tobias Hernandez asking another fabulous question here in the chat. When should barcoding price action be considered a red flag versus a green flag in your play? I'm guessing he means with regards to small caps. Like if you're seeing like kind of barcoding.
Sorry, you're gonna have to say that again because I was reading the chat.
It's okay, sorry. So when should barcoding price action be considered a red flag versus a green flag?
Oh, I don't like barcoding price action.
So just always a red flag.
I don't know. I don't want to say always because that's always a dangerous proposition to say always and never and stuff like that. But look, I would be very interested if you found barcoding at a very specific support or resistance level. Okay. Where it's not able to break below another level, that kind of tips the hand a little bit to the buyer that's sitting there buying up all those shares at every price level, or shorting or selling if it's in the case of a resistance level. So that's where I'd take note of barcoding. But barcoding, you know, in the middle of nowhere, it just shows disinterest and lack of volume by the market in that particular instrument, and I would stay away from it. But if it's at key support and resistance levels and you need to do charting, in order to determine that, that's where it would interest me. It wouldn't interest me though if it was just in no man's land or no women's land. Big Adam Deluxe, shut up. Dude, we tied yesterday, but we won the group, so it's all good. We played in the Champions League yesterday. We tied 1-1. Now we win our group, so we go to the round of 16, Arsenal I'm talking about. The Champions League is a simultaneous tournament played at the same time as the Premier League.
Okay, but are you guys in the Prem or are you in the Champions League?
Oh yeah, we're
okay,
second
that's why
in
I
the
was
Prem,
confused,
baby.
because I know that if you can get relegated to the Champions League, that's why I was confused.
No. You don't get relegated. You gotta be top four. Okay, so every league is different. In England, the top four teams that finish there at the end of the year are part of the Champions League tournament. It's a tournament.
Oh, okay, so it's not the league, the whole. Okay, there we go. Thank you, I appreciate it.
And then it depends on the league. Some are top three, like I think Ligue 1 is like the top three. It depends on the league, the strength of the league, right? So
that makes sense.
yeah, it's the top four in England, and we play. And the thing about soccer is like, okay, North American sports, you play in the MLB, you only play MLB teams. You don't play anywhere else.
That makes more sense. Okay.
In English soccer, you're playing in multiple tournaments. The FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Champions League, and some other teams play in the Europa League. And then there's the Premier League. There's all the different multiple tournaments.
Yeah. Also, I think Matt Booth cleared it up for me. Thank you so much. We also have a championship in the UK, which is where Prem teams get relegated.
That's where you get led.
That's what I was thinking of.
Bottom three.
Yeah, there we go. That's where the Ted Lasso knowledge kicks in.
Isn't that funny? It's called the Championship, but it's League 2.
Yeah, that's actually a joke.
And don't say League
Ted
2.
Lasso. Yeah.
Because there's like actually a League 2. There's the Prem, the Championship, League 1, and League 2. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
So many leagues.
It's a whole thing.
But thank you everyone for mentioning, explaining this to me, and Sharif as well, explaining all of this. Also, there was a question here that I saw that I liked, and I cannot find it. Also, I do agree with Zab Malik one in the chat that some of the free movies on Prime are bad. They're kind of fun. I don't, but Allison Mulcahy, do you ever play small cap gappers pre-market? So I guess, do you trade them pre-market?
Yeah, well, okay, so that's a great question right there. And there was a period where Neil and I would come in. Neil comes first on the day, so he's already looking at everything by the time I get here, and we were noticing that, about a month or maybe even longer, that the best time to trade these small cap gappers was in the pre. And like almost all of them would fade after the bell. And that was something that we picked up on, and it was happening for a while. And like I said, these small cap gappers, they're so cyclical in how many there are, their trading style. So that's something you need to pick up on, and that's just gonna come with a lot of experience, a lot of trading time, a lot of screen time, where you kind of get the idea of what these small cap gappers are doing. Are they fading off the pre-market high, or are we actually having some that are continuing through pre-market highs where you're getting that continued strength throughout the day? And again, I feel like it's very cyclical, so it's hard to paint with one brush, one thing there. But yeah, so personally, I would be interested in the small cap gappers in the pre if there were like some clearly defined levels. What I'm looking for bull flags to form in the pre. Same thing that I would trade after market or after the bell. I would be looking at for in the pre, especially if there was a decent amount of volume. VWAP, bouncing off VWAP, bouncing, support becoming resistance, or resistance becoming support, that kind of stuff, all the normal stuff that we talk about. If it happened in the pre, I'd be interested. But, typically I don't trade it because when I get here, I have like a whole morning routine that I have to prepare for. I have to do all my research about the catalyst so I can yap at the big desk. I have to do the upgrades and downgrades. I have to do the tickers. So there's all this stuff that I got to do in the morning that prevents me from trading. And so what ends up happening is I never trade these small cap gappers or really anything in the pre. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit here. All right, great question there from Johnny K. Sharif, where did you put your stop loss on a CAD trade? What was your setup? The setup was a bull pennant, my friend, like I finished saying, but we'll have a look. So actually, it's probably better to actually have a look at the trade rather than the black chart. Let's move over to it. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so what we had here was a very clear uptrend line. So my stop would have been the breach of the previous low. So I got in right over here at 27.80. I would have gotten out right here on bottom of this candle right here at 27, the break of 27.50. So risk 30 pennies to make $1. Not bad, right? Yeah. But it's so nuanced because the area where I would have my stop on a pennant may be different than a flag. Recall that a flag, sometimes it can be absolutely horizontal, so you have the bottom end of the range, right, the consolidation range. You usually have a clearly defined bottom end, right? That's on a flag. On a pennant, by definition, you're getting higher lows. You're getting that compression. Whereas on a flag, you don't. Usually you have, you could possibly have that on a flag where you have a parallel channel to the upside. If that's the case, I'm doing it basically on the previous low. If it's a sideways consolidation, I'm putting it below the consolidation area low. So that everything is going to be a little bit different. Ultimately, though, if you really want to have a super tight stop, just base it on the previous low, a clearly defined low, and then if you get wicked out, you can always get right back in for a small loss. So that's what I would say about that. What is the platform you are using to view the chart and the level 2? We have a proprietary trading platform here. It's called P-Pro 8, and it's proprietary to Day Trade the World. You have to work at Day Trade the World in order to use it, right? Yes. So unless you are going to join the campus program, come on, Chile Nightmare. The campus program, you were not going to be able to use P-Pro 8, but I got to say it's quite robust. Especially when you get used to it, it becomes a really good system to use. I mean, I got to tell you the truth, I didn't like it in the beginning, but then what did I know? I only had experience with one trading platform, so that's the look there. Adam says to you, Adara, if you get relegated from the Prem League, you go to the Championship. If you finish in the top 4 of the Prem, you qualify for the European Champions League.
Oh, so it's like a lot of different...
Yes.
Hierarchies. Okay.
It is.
That makes sense. Also, I really like this question from Guntbag.
Go for it.
In the chat. When targeting small caps, does sector play into your factors? For example, a mining company that might have a great drilling results. Does that play into, or is it just like Catalyst in general? Because I know you did mention like the role that Catalyst will play in your small cap selection to some extent.
Can you say that again?
Yes, sir, I'll reread it. So Guntbag asking, when targeting small caps, does sector play into your factors? For example, mining companies that might have, okay.
No. I'll just look at the catalyst to see if it's a legitimate catalyst, and that's basically all I'll do there.
Okay,
right?
and also, will you trade, okay, I have 2 more questions off that.
Go for it.
Okay, so will you trade a multi-day runner if it has like, decent setup or whatever. But if there's no new catalyst. So I know for quadruple C, that one we actually did a new catalyst. But like, for example, let's say ACAD runs tomorrow on the same old catalyst. Would you still trade that like as a day 2 play?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Why not? Right. And then you actually have levels off which to base it from the previous day.
That's a really good point.
Right? Yeah,
okay.
It makes it. Well, part of the trouble of trading small cap gappers is that you don't usually have levels, because it'll do like nothing for so long, and then you'll get a news catalyst and it'll spike up. So then you'll look on the daily chart and be like, okay, well, what am I basing on my levels off? And that's what I was saying. Go back 1 year to see if there's any bag holders at certain levels. That way you can know, okay, well, I'm likely to encounter resistance here. I'm likely to encounter resistance there. So if it's a multi-day runner, it actually makes your job a little bit easier.
Okay, because you have more levels to play off of.
Yeah.
My second question then, off of that is, will you take, again, assuming the setup is hunky-dory, pretty kosher in the pre-market, will you take a small cap runner if there isn't a clear catalyst? Or there isn't a catalyst? Like, that would be my question there. So it's like, no, so if there's no catalyst, you're not interested?
No, I would stay away from it. Yeah, because then you don't know really boosting that.
Okay, yes, that makes sense. So basically, so just stay away if there isn't a particular catalyst. So I think that might actually be more specific to small caps, because I think some of these larger caps, you can kind of trade if there's like news in the sector, like NVIDIA and all the its little chip besties running together. You know what I mean? But I think, that's interesting. I appreciate you like making that distinction with if there isn't a strong catalyst with these small caps, they will probably be a skosh harder to read.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So the Chile Nightmare wants me to repeat what I said because Ram was fixing my battery there. If there is no catalyst, I'm not trading it because I really don't know why it's running. Now, sometimes on my news blotter, I won't be able to see why it's running at that particular time. So my news blotter is a little delayed. I'll ask around and be like, hey, Neil, do you see anything on this? Hey, Sean, do you see anything on this? Hey, Brendo. And then we'll try to kind of figure out what's going on with that stock. If none of us can find it, I'm not going to be trading it. So it's just as simple as that.
I like too how everyone will kind of like, oh, did you see like this thing's moving? Like, do you know why? Like, we'll all kind of talk and ask, because sometimes there might be multiple catalysts. So it's kind of nice to have a full picture. And I think that's one of why I feel really lucky to be on this floor with everybody too.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's actually one of the best decisions I've ever made was to come here.
Yeah.
You learn a hell of a lot more than you do sitting at home trading by yourself. And
so much.
Trading can be a very lonely endeavor. All right, we're doing interesting stuff here on the future. Maybe we'll take a little bit of time now to look at the future. We dipped below 16.6 for a minute, and then look how quickly we kind of made that bump back up. The only concern with the future so far, and something that you gotta notice, is all these lower highs here. So this concerns me a little bit on the future. Even though we are holding up at that level, and I like to use the 100-point levels for support and resistance, but it's hard not to notice all these lower highs and lower lows right now. So I think we really need to make a higher high to get us out of this funk that we've been in. Despite the fact we're holding 16.6 a little for now, we need to kind of break above that 16.6 and a quarter. For it to be a trend change, because we can't keep making lower lows and lower highs like this, at least not for my trading style. So we'll have to wait and see what we get here on the future. But yeah, holding 16.6 for now.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk. I'm in a trade currently, but I'm getting a little scared of this trade because Oracle looks like we might be flat bottom breaking here, or maybe heading towards a descending wedge. And I only say that I have to see more evidence before I can concretely believe that. But I mean, look at what we've got here. Like, we have this kind of steady bottom at this 102.39. I like this long, and I was kind of planning on getting out part of my position at this 103 because that was the previous high, and then holding the rest for the dream. We never got to that point, and we really seem to be enjoying this 103.60, 104 area as a bottom, which is making me a little bit nervous. So I'm just going to keep my eye on this. If we decidedly break below the 102.40 area, my risk principle tells me I am outie because that would be a newer low. But yeah, that's the look on Oracle. I just wanted to put that out there. I was also in a Netflix trade earlier as well, and I really like where I took out half my position, but I really dislike where I took the rest of the half. And to be clear, we were still and again, trading in the sim here as well. But yes, I was net positive here, and I got out part of my position at this 475, and I got out here because that was where we had the previous high, right? Then I was thinking, oh, I might take out at 475.50, but I was like, you know, we're going to wait to see if we do 476 because I like those even dollar levels. In retrospect, though, when I look at the day chart, and that's why I was really waffling around, do I want to do 475.50? And I say that because look at, like, we like this level on Netflix. We had that 475.50-ish area here when we swooped down. We had this area as well here, kind of near the peak of this movement upward. Like, I think for whatever reason, and maybe it's just psychological, Netflix seems to enjoy that level, at least by my perception here. So yeah, I mean, I probably should have stayed in there, but yeah, keeping an eye on Oracle because it seems to be not having the time of its life right now, which I do not like. What else is going on here? I'm waiting and kind of seeing NVIDIA I was looking at actually earlier. And NVIDIA I was looking at because we had I was thinking it could be a short move. And I say that because we had this flattish bottom, honestly right around VWAP. It's hugging VWAP here. We kind of were initially having a little bit of movement downward, and then we kind of swooped here at the bottom. Kind of a bit of a descending wedge, which is, you know, a reversal to the downside. We're up on the day, so I thought that could be what's happening. I want to wait and see what we do at VWAP because I think this 482 level is clearly really key here on the day for NVIDIA. We were chopping and turning, consolidating around here. Actually, this would have been good for range plays had I been paying attention. But around here, really strong. And then we also, again, kind of pre-market and just slightly post-market, this was an area that seems to be of interest for NVIDIA, this 482. So I will be keeping an eye on it. I want to see what we do at VWAP. Also, in terms of another mega cap name that I always have my eye on, Stressla. We could be reversing long here. I would probably want to wait and see to set a definitive break of 231 because we danced around that 230 area for a good while before kind of getting to that 230.50. And we're still down on the day, so I do not know if I would go long at this point on Tesla just because it's weak on the day. And as I say this, we're swooping back down towards 230. So I will do a type vibe here, a shrug on Tesla because I am unsure. But yeah, Oracle continuing to make me wish I could see the future and not get in this long. So there we go. I'm going to go probably deal with the Oracle. But that is my, oh yeah, sorry, IK. Dare you didn't acknowledge Lily today? How dare I? How dare I not acknowledge Lily? I mean that with all sincerity. Yeah, Eli Lilly, here we are. My issue with this is I really dislike getting in stuff that is just fully in a movement to the upside where I can't find a dip opportunity. And we're near that 600, which would be like, you know, even dollar level. So I'm a little bit, you know, sorry, I'm a skosh nervous. Sure, it's making me laugh. But yeah, I mean, I like the higher highs. I like the movement upwards. And I kind of like this trend. But I just want to wait and see if there's a proper dip opportunity for me so I can actually plan out my risk to reward here and not just jump in. But I do, you know, IK, you are right. I did need to acknowledge Miss Lily because, yeah, definitely to the upside. I believed we had a catalyst on this, and I'd like to clarify what said catalyst entailed. I could be wrong here. Oh, yeah, just that announcing that it expanded its body program offering with the launch of Zepbound. So I guess, yeah, it's bounding to the upside. It's Zep bounding to the upside here. But yeah, I mean, if there's a dip, if I have
you call
levels,
it Miss Lily?
Yeah.
I like that.
I like
you're
that.
being whimsical.
Miss
There
Lily
was some angry dude in the chat that I had to block that was like, did he just say no woman's land? It's
I
no
saw
man's
that.
land. I'm like, thanks for the compliment, bro. Block.
Yeah,
See ya.
I mean,
you won't have a voice around here again.
But yeah, I mean, I think, but yeah, I mean, like, you know, I know someone was saying to me too, like, Eli Lilly was a military person. I'm like, yeah, but like the stock is Lilly.
Yeah, you're being whimsical.
Thank
I
you,
like
I appreciate that.
Some people are just angry. You can't.
Also, congrats to IK on that Eli Lilly trade that they're mentioning in the chat. Beautiful. Also, I saw someone in the chat mentioning how do you get your info? How do you find catalysts on small cap gappers? Which brings me to
Scanners.
In a moment here, scanners, but also Benzinga. Thank you so much to Benzinga here. You know, we're brought to you by Benzinga Pro, so just use the link in the description for Benzinga's greatest deal of the year, including 75% off Benzinga Pro monthly subscriptions now as low as $49.25. The everything terminal for retail traders. Just visit pro.benzinga.com and use coupon code TTVNOV to save 75% off now. But new subscribers only and conditions apply as they often do. But I literally, you know, Sharif's always laughing because I do use Benzinga.
You do.
All the time. And that is how I get info in these small cap gappers.
And you're effective in your use of it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and also I find Benzinga will get small cap gapper stuff, I find like very quickly. Like usually if there's something moving, it'll have like, oh, this thing's moving. So yeah, I think it's a good resource for that. So I wanted to shout out, thank you very much to Benzinga for that.
All right, we are getting a new small cap gapper, and this one's a halter. So let's look at this one, okay? It goes by the ticker CHSN. Let's bring in the side chart over here. What's going on, Katina, man? Oh, I thought something was going on.
I like that. I like the support for the small cap gap.
Yeah, yeah. CHSN. Let's have a look at this bad boy. The Katina man is mentioning Pfizer off the 26 level. If you've been watching Pfizer lately, it's been in a full state of tanking. So he's liking it right now off the 26 level. Anybody following along with the Katina man's trade, just wanted to update you guys on that one. Let's look at CHSN, small cap gapper. I'll give you the deets on this one in a second. And we're going to talk about possible entries and exits. First and foremost, the company profile. I'm not seeing a float on it. Brendo, possible to get a float on CHSN if you have a moment. Don't see it on my platform, sadly. Do you have float on Benzinga? I know I have it on Trade Ideas.
Yeah, what is it?
CHSN.
CHSN. Is it chosen? Oh, Chanson.
3.4 million, says the Katina man. Thank you for that. So very small float on CHSN, okay? Why is that important? Because we want to know whether we're going to get share float rotation. Okay, so right now we've only done 1.71 million on the day, so we haven't done float rotation yet. Now, the volume on this one, very, very light. So this one, you know, you got to be really careful with how you trade it. And it's multiple halter to the upside. Now, let's see if we can actually get any levels here from the halts, because I was mentioning how these could be support and resistance levels once they are established. Let's draw out our support and our halt level. So these two white lines on CHSN are both halting halt levels. So you got a bit of a resistance here at that 1717 area, but not much. You're definitely getting a little bit of resistance right over here at that higher level at 1763. We'll have to wait and see what this one does. It looks like it's forming a bit of a base at 1575-ish. It's being bought up off there, but I would stay away from this one. Chilean Nightmare, can we go to the of the smaller screen so I can show the volume? Yeah, just whenever you're ready. That perfect. Thank you. So as you can see here, volume is very, very light on this. So this is not even doing 25,000 shares per 1 minute candle. To me, that would be an indication to stay away from it, halter or not. It's a little bit of a tricky stock to trade, especially on the day. Okay, so I would stay away from CHSN unless it really starts picking up in volume here. All right. Let's see what other people are talking about here. Anything? Zach Abramson wants to know what your favorite setup is. Bull flag, cup and handle. What do you like?
Honestly, I don't like to be married to a setup. You know, okay. I like to you know, have open relationships with the setups. No, I'm joking. But if I see something that is moving in a pattern that I feel like I can get into, then I'll get into. My big thing too, if like upward channels, downward channels, anything like that, I like to have levels to play with. So actually an example here is this Meta. Meta kind of in a downward channel right now. We're down on the day, so I would consider shorting this. But you know, and why I like this is I actually have a range. Like if I got in at the short around this, where are we, like 334.30-ish right now, then I would know, you know, I want to get out if we break a new high. So let's say like this 334.70, this 335 area. And then I know I can maybe take some profit if we break a new low, which is that 333.7, right? So I can play within the channel because I have levels. Now, as much as I love Eli Lilly, this type of channel would make me nervous to get in because A, we're at highs of day, so I don't really have any range to jump off of. And B, like, I mean, we're kind of continuing to the high side, which is a great look, but it also makes it a bit harder to enter the stock and get levels for, like, you know, stop losses or entrances and exits, right? So basically, I like a pattern that I can kind of jump around in. Shout out to jump around. But yeah, I like a pattern that I can kind of jump in and out within and that I actually have levels for and a range for, preferably intraday, but I also will look back. That's what I did with Netflix and saw the daily levels on at 475. But yeah, I think like I like having stuff where I can look back at the levels, and I like having some kind of setup And if VWAP is in play for the stock, I'll look at VWAP. But if the stock isn't near VWAP, I'm not going to care. So to answer your question, it's very dependent on the stock. I apologize. Not a great question.
Fair.
But I really appreciate, or sorry, not a great answer to your question. I'm so sorry. That's what I meant. Not great question. My answer was not great. I'm so sorry. That is really not
Why
what
are you sorry? You're good.
Yeah, thank you. I deserve that, Fabian. Yeah, that was a nightmare. But yeah, no, the question was great. And my answer is it really depends.
All right. I want to talk a little bit about some of the names that we were involved in today. ACAD. So this one, what I looked at when I was looking at this was the making of a bull pennant, right? And from our study of what chart patterns do, you're supposed to look for a bull pennant and then measure the breakout area. No, come back to the chart. Measure from the breakout area. So for example, the breakout area would be here, and then measure this distance from here all the way up to here. So from 22, let's say $22 to the high there at 29. So $7, and then you're supposed to extend that up from the breakout area. So technically you're supposed to run another $7. But in this particular case, you can see you're not getting that. So you have the makings of a bull pennant, but then you're getting this incremental stepping up, right? And that should be indicative to you of the type of market that we're in for these small caps. You're not getting that aggressive follow through. Like in 2020, 2021, even in certain times in 2022, small caps were really in play and there was a lot of follow through. So when I see a beautifully made pennant like this one not have follow through, it kind of gives me an indication of where we are in the small cap, micro cap cycle. Let's just call it that, okay? Where we don't have that aggressive follow through. There's not a lot of market participants that are continuing to stay in this name outside of that big initial move up and maybe a breakout subsequent to that. And this is I'm not saying it's making for bad trading, because if you were to kind of draw a trend line here from the lows, being the low from over here, you're continuously making higher lows. So it's a decent trade. I'm not trying to say it's bad, but when you're looking for the actual manifestation of the pattern where a pennant is formed and then another one should be formed subsequent to that, you're not getting it, and that speaks to the follow through or lack thereof that we're having on these small cappers. Yeah. And you're not always going to have that strong small cap market. Again, like what I mentioned at the top of the show, these small cappers typically come in waves. Let's just say Monday we get quadruple C running like 300%. It didn't run 300%, but let's just say it did. Chances are on Tuesday we may have another couple of 100%ers. And it just seems to happen like that. I don't have an explanation as to why, but if you kind of pick up on that and notice that next time we have a big small cap runner that shows up on a day, usually the subsequent days we're going to have a few more of those, and that's when you know, okay, well, we're in a stronger small cap market, at least in the micro sense, in the short term sense is what I'm trying to say, and then you can lever up a little bit more and take some more shareage there. But again, practice, and more practice, Adair.
Yeah, we're talking about practice.
We're talking about practice.
I was gonna ask
I love how
as
Obi
well.
had no idea what we were talking about.
I mean, go sports. I still love that. I love that quote so much. The go sports. But yeah, so I was going to ask something, and okay, I remembered. So I don't know, because I know you usually don't trade right off of open, but I will say, how would one, if they want to trade a small cap as it opens, which I know like opening is usually pretty kind of crazy for a lot of stocks, but especially small caps, how would you approach trading like something like a small cap right off the open?
So remember what we talked about earmarking the pre-market high?
Okay.
Right,
yeah.
So if that's what I'm looking for, the small caps that I want to trade, and I'll repeat it because I think we got new people joining in.
Yeah.
What I'm looking for, and let's bring in the side chart so we can talk a little bit about this setup, is the making of a pre-market high and then the breaching of that pre-market high at least subsequent to the open by half an hour, okay? In SPRC's case, you had a huge move up at around 8:10, 8:15. It got up all the way to 879, and then it huadunked all the way back down, not even making an attempt to breach the pre-market high. This, to me, is not tradable. Much in the same case with STTK. We look at that pre-market high, touches that 7.25, huadunks. The best we could do after that, Adara, is 542. $2 off that pre-market high.
Yeah.
But when we look at quadruple C, here's the pre-market high right here at 346. If you punch long at 346, you're an absolute print factory because we got up to 460. That's number one. Let's look at the other one. NXTP, you would have done well on this one, even though it's retracing right back down now. If you put in your buy at 119, 120, which is the pre-market high on what's it called, NXTP, you would have printed quite nicely, moving up into a $1.80, even though it's quite volatile.
Okay. So basically, you're saying be patient and then wait for the pre-market high break.
I would chart the pre-market high to see, number one, can we break through the pre-market high subsequent to the bell? If we can't, to me, I don't trade it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you going over that again.
No problem, of course.
Yeah.
Go Sports, you see that in the chat, I love it.
Yeah, I love the Go Sports. It was like a shout out because I enjoyed that quote very much. Yeah,
well, in case you're wondering what we're talking about, like we're joking one day, we're like, practice? We're talking about practice, obviously referencing Allen Iverson and his famous press conference there where Proter asked him about practice. So we put the question to the Kenobi. We said, Obi, do you know about this? And he's like, no, I have no idea. Go Sports, right? So it became a running gag, and that's why we love Obi around here.
Oh, hi, Obi. We're on the same screen.
Hey, I love Obi. He's like, yo, man, I'm just trying to trade my Amazon. Leave me alone, bro. Patrick Langlois, is there still a place for OCO-type trades for gains in small caps? What do you mean by OCO? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that acronym. Maybe I know what it means. Oh, on close orders. I don't know. I don't trade that way. I know that there is a market on close order trade that we have here, but certainly not for small caps. It's more for on the rebalancing. The Katina man says would probably make a bit more sense. Great question, Patrick. Not one that I'm familiar with. Not my style of trading at all. Let me look because I didn't scroll down. No, where does he say that?
Oh, that's what Fear Rhymes of the AMC says.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. No, it was from Patrick Langlois. Is there still a place for OCO-type trades for gains in small caps? Just, iron out your question a little bit more. If you could give a bit more color about what you mean, I'd be happy to answer it. But if you're talking about the closing print orders, I don't ever do that, and I haven't done that in a while. Oh, okay. Obi, yes, I see what you're saying. Yeah, one cancels the other. It says meat on wheel. OCO is one cancels the other. That's not my style of trading at all. I just want to keep it as simple as possible. So sadly, I won't be able to give any color or any information on that. That's not my style of trading. I need to see definable criteria for these small cap gappers. Otherwise, I just won't get involved, guys. Wasabi MX, one cancels the other. Thank you for that. Appreciate you explaining that. CB Got Games, interesting price movement on GMBL. What's your take? Let's have a look at GMBL. Let's bring in the chart.
Is it Gamble? I feel like that with a ticker that fun, it has to be Gamble.
It's esports entertainment, so you're not that
it is gambling related.
Yeah. So right away, we're talking about a 1 penny stock, right? It's 1 penny. The Katina man's giggling, but all right, so now we're looking, number one, the Katina man is banking on AMD. So anybody following the Katina man's trades looks like he's short AMD. What's the entry, Katina man?
I want Adara or someone to tell me.
Oh, okay, so the Katina man wants us to digress a little bit. Sorry for our CB Got Games. We'll get to GMBL in a second. Adara, where would Sean have
gotten
in?
You're short AMD?
Yeah.
Did you get it off that 137.4-ish area?
Try again.
My price.
Oh, yay! Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the people didn't hear him. His price is 137.35. Adara said 137.40. I think that deserves a lot of love coming from the chat there.
Thank you. And I said that because we had gradual decline, and then we did not make a newer high here, and then also it was around VWAP, which has been a point that AMD's been dancing around. That is how I came to said conclusion, and congrats on your AMD short. Look at Sean running away with his money barrel.
Run away, baby, run away. Take that money and go.
Ooh, more money.
Run away, run away. That's not your style. That's like Gino Beats.
I know Runaway Love by Ludacris. Yeah. That's it.
All right. This is the GMBL chart. Let's put in the ticker. GMBL. All right. Sorry about that. I just had to digress for a second. So as you can see, it's been a big move down, and we've kind of been forming the space at $0.00. right? No, I'm being facetious, obviously, but we're making incrementally lower highs and lower lows. So right now, we don't really have anything to chart off with respect to the low, except for this one day over here, which is November 15th. That's low. We got to 7 pennies. No, not even. We got to 1/7 of a penny. Holy cow. Got really low here. Sub 1 penny status it came to on that particular day. I don't even know if that's real. I got nothing to say about this stock, my man. It's not one that I typically trade. Clearly, it's making lower highs and lower lows here. There's nothing off which to base a support level except for this one outlying day over here. I need to see something other than the lower highs and lower lows to kind of get me interested in being able to chart effectively off this. So I gotta say sorry, can't really help you with that one. Yeah, we're having a good time over here, guys.
Yeah.
I'm just looking. All right, guys, any other questions for any other small cap stuff? I know we have got a few that were decent on the day. Nothing really to write home about. I've had one decent trade here on ACAD. Took this bad boy, and then we had a future trade over here on this bad boy over here, but we're tanking right now, and we're giving up 16.6 Adara. We're not able to make any higher highs or higher lows on the future at the moment. So nothing for me to really get into, sadly, as we wait Jerome Powell and the FOMC decision to come in at 2 o'clock. We're going to be getting off the air a little bit early today by 10 minutes because Sean and Obi are going to be taking over a little bit early to give you that print.
Yeah, 1:45. Yeah, I will say too, thank you everybody in the chat for support for the pop quiz, and thank you to Sean and Sharif for always pop quizzing me. I like trying to. It feels good to get the answers right, and congrats on that AMD short. I also briefly got in a meta short that I would like to chat about briefly, if I may. So this was, someone in the chat was asking, and it was a great question, but I worded it poorly. My response poorly. Yeah, I think what I look for is like patterns like this, like I said, ranges, and I use meta as an example, and we continue to kind of hang out at that 330, 430 area, but not really do much there. So I took a small amount of shares there, and I was like, if we break a higher high, I'm out. We did not break a higher high, and I got out here because we broke a lower low. And that's where I didn't want to stay in this one too long, though, because I know meta can be meta hectic or mega hectic. So I was like, I'd rather just stick with the clear levels. Even then, we're like, I think 10 cents out from where I got out. So I like where I got out is the point I'm trying to make, and I use levels to get out. So to answer, that earlier question about what indicators or patterns I use, if a pattern's there and I see support for that pattern, and I wait and take my time, sip on the tea and wait for something to happen, then I'll get in. It's kind of and I think that the meta trade is just an example. So I wanted to put that out there.
Great question from Austin. What's your favorite no-name, one-hit wonder ticker from this year? Great question. Yeah, I like how he put that. Look, I don't have one from this year because I've traded small caps a lot less this year. But I gotta say, I think I want 2 shots at this. One, I really like Kodak, K-O-D-K from 2020. Anybody who's trading small caps in 2020 knows what Kodak did. Okay, there we go, baby. And I also like HKD from last year. Anybody who was watching last year and what HKD did, it ran to like 2,500 or 2,200 bucks, something ridiculous like that. So those were my favorite 2. I traded Kodak. I didn't trade HKD because it was like not tradable on this floor. It was like we were talking about $10 spreads at times. It was crazy. It was like no way to manage risk on those that bad boy. Kodak though was much more tradable. It moved, I think, into 50 bucks in 2020 off like $1 or 2. Those were great. Obviously, I mean, who could not like the GMEs, the AMCs, the KOSS of the meme stock little phase that we had there in 2021. Obviously, those would be on my mind as well. But the 2 small cap gappers that we kind of never heard from again is going to be HKD and Kodak. With DWAC, also up there as well. I don't want to say a distant third, but definitely up there as well. Good times with DWAC and that whole thing with Trump and stuff. It was made for good trading, baby. The Chilean Nightmare put Kodak Heart in the chat, meaning that he has some involvement in that, and I will be finding out about that after because I want to know what he did
grill
with Kodak. No, I'm not grilling. I want to hear what he has to say. what's his name? L Sun Music bringing up STTK, saying it's ripping. Let's have a look at STTK because we were disparaging this bad boy earlier, saying it was not tradable because the fact that it didn't break the pre-market high. Well, it's obviously had a bit of a love-hate relationship with VWAP. Can you see the difference here? Where VWAP was absolutely held, then it broke, and then it's absolutely acting as a resistance level now?
Yeah, it's a really interesting, because like we keep wicking up into VWAP, and then it keeps saying no, and this is where I really appreciate you teaching me about how the failed wicks can be really important, because they show us resistance and support.
Absolutely.
They're not as helpful for price levels as they are for like kind of showing you, giving you a feel of how the market's kind of feeling about things. But yeah, no, I think that this is a really significant, like these continued little failed wicks of that VWAP. I think it's a good look.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean to put El Sun Music on blast. That's not what I'm trying to do at all. I'm just saying, you know, it was a great attempt there at 450. I'm not saying it doesn't run. Maybe it does, and maybe you print on it. You know, who knows what the future is. But what I'm trying to tell you is, make it less willy-nilly and more structured. That's how you will have longevity in this game. And by having structure, you need to have rules in place. My rules may be different than yours, but mine is it's gotta break that pre-market high to show me it has that continuity. If it doesn't, I'm not gonna get involved. Even though you could have had a great trade off 4, there's clearly here support at $4. Every time it wicks below 4, it's immediately bought back up. Right, saving except for a couple of these candles over here, where it broke into, where did it break into? 3 2/3, and then it rocketed right back up above 4. So the prince, you know, the theory holds true. That's not to say that it's not going to quadunk anytime soon, or it's not to say that it doesn't rocket up into 750 like it did at 6:15 a.m. But it may or may not happen. Have some objectively discernible criteria off which to base your trades, especially for these really volatile trades, and steer clear of the ones that don't meet that criteria, okay? It's gonna be how you maintain longevity in this game. Otherwise, you're just gonna, you're gonna flirt with success and then flirt with failure, and you'll have a relationship with both, and then they'll both dump you.
Ooh. Hot fire.
Hey, you got a flower from Israel Rodriguez dos Santos.
Oh, well, thank you, Israel, in the chat. Appreciate that there. Also, shout out to Bears versus Bulls. I already commented this, but I love this. Meme-ories instead of memories when you're talking about the meme stocks.
Oh, that is fantastic. That's right down your alley right there.
Right? I saw that and I was like, I must address. But yeah, I mean, great pun and very accurate. My favorite small cap ticker, as much as I don't really do that, I'll pull up Immunivant, IMVT. This was, you know, yeah, still in the sim. This was as sim trade as my trades are. But this one, I think this is the day that we traded it when it had that huge movement to the upside. No, it couldn't, because I think it was when we got to it must have been around here, because I know we got to that $41, $40-ish area. Had a lot of fun trading this one in sim on the midday. So that is my kind of standout. But yeah, as I said, I get a little bit scared of small caps generally, but look at this name actually did not even really fall off that much from where we were small cap gapping. But yeah, that would be my shout out. But yeah, some people were mentioning the SPAC craze as well, what I heard about in the 2020s, which Brendan mentioned to me as well, and I think you've mentioned. But yeah, so lots of fun conversations here about these little small caps and what they can do and why you gotta keep your eye on them and keep them on a tight leash. Yeah, it was you know, basically in 2020, if you traded EVs, SPACs, you did quite well because both of them were very in fashion, in vogue at the time, and you know, there was a lot of people who were trading all sorts of those. We had one SPAC after another. In case you're wondering what a SPAC is, it stands for Special Purpose Acquisition Company. It's one of 3 ways to get a private company to market. The other ones are direct listings, and obviously the one that we all know, IPOs, initial public offerings. A SPAC is a company, it's a blank check company that is created for the sole purpose of taking a private company public. The Katina man is yelling about AMD, and there we go again. We're now 2/3% lower on AMD, as it does about 39 million shares, breaking through that 136 and a quarter. It's at 3/4, pardon me. It's at 136 and 2/3. So anybody following along with Sean's trades, he still is short AMD. But yeah, to go back to SPACs,
It was a big craze. Obviously, we've had a lot less SPACs coming to market right now as they kind of got a bad name after that. You know, some of you guys will know Chamath Palihapitiya as the SPAC king, and the Katina man making his feelings very well known there. And yeah, that's the way it is. He took a lot of companies public via SPAC, and some of them survived, some of them didn't. And so you can deduce what you may from there. You got a little bit of a fight going on in the chat there, eh? Like Zach Abramson's like, yo, back off my crush. So I'm assuming he's talking to the gentleman who gifted you a flower. So you might have to fight these guys off, it looks like here, Daryl.
I'm just trying to trade. But
yeah, we're just having some fun, guys.
Yeah, I know we're joking. Yeah, thank you everybody for the support. Also, I always forget that Chamath Palihapitiya was like the SPAC guy, because I just know him from being an all-in and making like vaguely judgmental looks at everyone. Yeah. But yeah, no. Also, some people saying rhymes with AMC was Chamath behind CLOV. I do not know.
Clover?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember. I'm being told yes.
Yes. Okay. So that would be a yes. Also, someone's name in the chat is Count Spacula.
That's hilarious.
Or the Hayes Records is saying the Count Spacula.
That's hilarious.
I love that. Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get back to some small caps here. The two that I was talking about as the strong ones are continuing to run. Those go by the name of ACAD. We are very much near high of day right now. 28.94 is the high of day. We're at 28.82. The 28.94 was made on this big spike up over, actually it was on this one over here. We actually broke through that initial algo spike high. We're continuing to put in higher highs and higher lows on this name. You know, this one is one that I theorized originally would have been a bit of a bull pennant, but we're not getting that aggressive continuity on this particular day because, well, it's not the day, I guess, for these small cappers to really rock it here. And this one's only up 35%. On a different day, this could be well over up 100%. Just how these small cappers run. The quadruple C, same business, higher highs, higher lows. You're not getting that aggressive, you know, huge move up. This is a second day runner, but you're getting higher highs and higher lows, and it's definitely tradable. The best entry subsequent to the bell would probably have been off VWAP at that 370, 375-ish level, and you would have done quite well as we have a 460 high. Yeah, not really much else to say about these small cap gappers. STTK looks like it's trying incrementally here to get itself back above VWAP, but slow. It's a hard row for it. So we'll see if it's able to make a newer high above that 542. Makes it a lot more interesting if STTK can get above that 550 area and put in a higher high. That will definitely put it back in play despite the fact it hasn't broken through the pre-market high. It'll be above VWAP, it'll be a higher high, so we'll have a whole different set of characteristics to discern at that time, but until it gets to that level, it's on my you-know-what list. So, Sharif, any issues with trading TSLT rather than Tesla? What is TSLT? I don't even know what the hell that is. It's a T-Rex 2 times long Tesla. I didn't even know that this was a thing, guys. Holy cow. And it looks like it's quite new. Looks like we got to market here for this 2 times levered product on October 20th. I've never traded this product, M. Mason, so I can't really speak on it or say anything. I didn't even know it existed till right now, but the description on TSLT is as follows. The fund seeks daily investment results before fees and expenses of 200% of the daily performance of Tesla. So it's a 2 times Tesla ETF. Is it an ETF? Yeah, it is an ETF. So it's a 2 times ETF for Tesla. I've personally never traded it, and I didn't even know it existed. So sorry, can't give any information on it. Yeah, Mr. Longshore is saying it's new. Thank you. I didn't actually know it existed, and that's why I love being on here, man. You get to see so much of what's happening. People tell you about what's happening. You can't have eyes everywhere. Ash Ketchum. I like it. Sharif, can you check Etsy? Has news on Big Drop. Let's
There
look
is
at it.
news.
Do you want to look at it?
I found news.
Go
yeah.
for it.
So Etsy basically laying, this is courtesy of Benzinga here, laying off roughly 11% of its marketplace workforce, basically grappling with slowdown in consumer spending. I will pull up Etsy here as well on the chart, because yeah, it's been kind of, like it's already pretty weak on the day here, yeah, but I mean, we kind of bounced off VWAP, kind of jumping around VWAP, now we're moving to the downside here. Yeah, actually yeah, definitely a decent short look and a pretty strong catalyst. Basically, they're going to do some restructuring as well. The cuts will affect roughly 225 employees. Thank you for the super chat, M. Mason, saying thank you. So thank you, M. Mason, for the $1.99 super chat. But yeah, basically, here is the look here on on Etsy and the news, basically regarding some restructuring there. Yeah.
Julio, the Chilean Nightmare and Ram demand that we get 1,000 likes. And they put that in. He's like, what? What do I demand? He's ready to jump at me there. All right, guys, let's get that like count up. Otherwise, we're going to have to play some. Oh, I thought I was going to play Neil's, but he did a new one. He's happy.
Yeah,
did you see Neil's new
one?
Look, Katina, man.
It's so good.
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.
Katina, man, I want to get your opinion on something. That's obviously a playoff A team, right? Yeah. Don't you think he would have looked good with a mohawk on his head? No. Neil.
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.
I tried to persuade the Chilean Nightmare to put a mohawk photoshopped on his head, and I couldn't get anywhere with him. Maybe you got more pull? Maybe? Do you agree that it might be? I do.
It's happening, sure.
Score. When Neil comes back, I'm going to be playing that over and over with a mohawk on his head. So, come on now.
Yeah, we're having a great time over here with those animations. Having a good time. And my favorite is when you tried to pull a fast one on Neil by playing his animation after he played yours, and then it wasn't the one. So really, it was an example of pitying the fool there.
I got burned bad there.
But yeah, I know that was pretty funny.
I got burned pretty bad.
That's a great animation though, or not animation, I guess.
And gold chains, Ziddy said. Yes, Ziddy. Now you're thinking like me, my friend. I don't know if we can Photoshop gold chains. We'll have to see what Fabian can or can't do. But yes, James Dell says more gold chains. Yes, you guys are getting the idea here. If he wants to play the part of Clubber Lang, of Mr. T in A team, then he's got to play the full part, baby. We need mohawks, we need chains, we need it all. Shout out to the Neil. He's got a day off, obviously, today. Tony Price. I think the small caps could be weaker today because of IWM is weaker. Okay, great point. Now, I want to distinguish between the small cap gappers that are moving up on a catalyst and all small caps in general that trade in the Russell and the IWM, the corresponding ETF. I don't want you to correlate those two because these small cap gappers that show up on your scanner up 100%, 80% or whatever, they march to the beat of their own drum, okay? And maybe you have a point there, maybe when the IWM is up whatever percentage that maybe we get those triple digits. It's not one of the correlations that I've ever made between things that pop up on my scanner or the number one gappers and what the Russell or the IWM is doing. It's not one that I've ever seen correlated, but it's one that I'll keep an eye out on. I don't think that they do. I think that these guys are marching to the beat of their own drum. It's basically pushed up by algos and traders that are trading it intraday, and then you know what typically happens after that. They fade away into the background. You may not hear about them again for a few months. So I like the way that you're thinking, Tony. I just don't know if that's exactly the case here.
Yeah, it's a good question about the IWM, and I appreciate you touching on that.
I agree. All right. There's a lot of small caps that are in those, says Fee Rhymes with AMC. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Markets weak today, says Elon, awaiting Papa Powell to speak at the podium. Yes, in case you were wondering, today is Fed decision day. The FOMC, the Open Market Committee, is meeting for 2 days. They started meeting yesterday. Today we get the decision at 2 o'clock whether or not they will raise rates. It's widely expected that they won't raise. That will stay exactly where we are, but it's going to be the press conference subsequent to that at 2:30 that kind of really gets the market moving because then that's when he takes questions from reporters and kind of goes off script. Also, we'll be getting the official statement, and that gets released right at 2 o'clock. the one that he's going to read at 2:30. It gets released right at 2 o'clock. And what often happens is that an algo will read the previous statement and read the new statement and make comparisons between the two to see if there is any, important changes. Important changes that have been added or subtracted from the new statement. And, usually words are crossed out or words are added. And that kind of gives some insight into possibly their thinking. Do you know if they do the dot plot today? Do they have an updated dot plot? Yeah, the dot plot is really important for me. I don't know if we get a new dot plot today. Essentially what the dot plot is, what the hell is happening here? Is essentially where they see interest rates in the future. And that's really important for markets because markets are forecasting, well, we know the equities market are discounting 6 months in advance at least, right? So really we have to base prices upon where interest rates are projected to be in those 6 months, in those 12 months, right? So they may change how they see interest rates. Now, they're already like the 10-year is already lower than where they expected interest rates to be. So we're already below what their previous forecast on the dot plot was. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get a new dot plot, whether they forecast that down. It's always market moving, these dot plots, especially it has been recently anyway. Any chance you guys tour your algos? Patrick Langlois says, I don't know what that means, but we have an algo room back there, and hopefully we'll have the main guy there come on the show in the new year. We've spoken to him, but he's just too busy at the moment to be able to make an appearance. We will. Bless you. Yeah, bless you. We will see if we're able to get that in the future. All right, Obi, no. All right, anything on your side, Adara?
Yeah, I'm just another scalp meta short that I am just, hopping around in right now. This one I took a little bit more, we're talking about risk management, and I said my big thing is, especially with these mega caps, my first, go around during the day when I'm just testing a setup, I'm trying to take less shares. That's what I did with this first meta scalp. Now I took a few more shares. Basically, I'm planning my exit kind of where this lowest tick was here. If we wick down to 330, 340, that will be my second out. Got my first out around that 330, 360 area, because that was where we kind of were seeing, a slightly new lower low. But yeah, Meta still in this really nice downward spiral. No, I'm joking, downward trend, downward channel here. So I like the look on this, which is why I got in on this move down. I also think it's cool that you mentioned that the dot plots have mattered more lately than they have, or at least right now, because yesterday we were talking about economic trends economic events when you're trading economic events basically, and what you were saying, how it's important to look at what the market has reacted to most recently. So I think it's good that you mentioned that. Like right now, dot plots are moving the market a bit more, but right. So I think it's cool that we talk about the fact that there certain events will move the market at different times.
Perfect. Thank you for reminding me about that, because yesterday we were talking about understanding the economic climate in which we're in. Because yesterday we talked about how to trade economic events, because it was perfect because we got CPI, and we said in the current economic climate, what's bad is good and what's good is bad for the most part. What do I mean by that? I just want to surmise what we said yesterday. So if typically in a normal economic climate, when we get a lower unemployment rate, the market will trend upwards. It's good. More people have jobs, more people are spending the money that they're making at those jobs. That's good and wholesome for the economy. However, in the current economic climate, we would like a lower unemployment rate because the Fed is raising rates to cool down the economy. And if jobs keep getting added and added every month to the economy, that means people have more spending power to go out there and spend. That means we're likely to have more inflation, which means that they probably won't cut rates as soon. So it's a bit of a bizarro world reversal there. So you have to understand the current climate in which we're in and how each economic point is digested or interpreted by the market. It's not always the same. So that's really important. GDP was one of those ones where we said it was kind of like in the middle, right? Because we want a soft landing, but we also don't want to grow too much. So it's kind of like that Goldilocks zone with GDP. Typically in a normal market, and when we got a positive GDP print, like coming in at 2.8% growth rather than the expected 2.2, we would move up. In this particular case, we're unsure about how GDP is going to be looked at because we don't want the economy to be overly strong, but we don't want it to be too weak either because then we'll get a steep recession or a harsher recession than what we're expecting next year, right? So GDP is one of those ones where it's not, entirely clear how the market would interpret it. And that's the point that I was making yesterday. So it's just like small caps, you have to know the current climate in which we're in. Like, to bring it back to small caps here, when we see the continuity of patterns on small caps, when we see several triple digit small caps up on the day on the gap scanner, by triple digits I mean up over 100% each, that gives us an insight into where we are in the small cap cycle. And so you can lever up, you can take more aggressive trades during that time. But when you come in and you look at your gap scanner and the highest thing on the day is up 30%, 25%, you get an idea, okay, well, small caps are not in vogue at the moment. If I'm going to trade them, if there's any setups, I'm going to go smaller size. I'm going to be looking to take profits a little bit earlier, not letting them run as much. So you have to be cognizant and aware of the current economic climate when you're doing your trades. It's abundantly important. Eddie R says, you mean higher unemployment rate. Well, the thing is, currently, if we get a higher unemployment rate, it's bullish for the market, sadly. When people lose their jobs, I hate to smirk about this, but the Fed wants, you've been seeing like these headlines coming in from certain parties saying the Fed wants you to lose your job. And I don't think they want you to lose your job. I think they want the economic, the job market to cool a little bit, not to be as much hiring, not to have as much wage growth. In a normal circumstance, Eddie, if you got a lower unemployment rate, the market would go up. If you got a lower unemployment rate right now, the market probably would go down, right? So it's that good news is bad news is good thing for most things. All right, Ahmed. Thank you for that super chat. I don't know what AED is. I think it's dirhams. I think we looked at this before. AED. Is it Ram? It is. It is. Ram's confirmed it. Bless you. Short triple Qs, 424 waiting for the boss. All right, my man. The boss will be on in about 1 hour. Well, an hour and a half. Actually, he's going to take the podium at 2:30. Quickly, guys, we got a huge spike.
Is there a treasury auction, people say?
40 minutes. No, he's talking about Jerome Powell. Yeah. Yeah, he could mean the Katina man as well. Yeah, it could be. He does mean the Katina man. The Katina man has declared that he means him. So what I wanted to talk about quadruple C is that this one just moved up into 5, rejected 5. Guys, chart. And then comes right back down into that 450 area. So this one holding up quite nicely over here. And as it continues to make that series of higher highs and higher lows, this one would have been on the good list because it definitely broke through that pre-market highs, but rejected off 5. So keep your eye on quadruple C as it continues to move up, man. It's almost up 100% on the day, 98.5%, 98.75% on this bad boy. Looking real good right now, guys. Anything else we can talk about here with respect to small cappers?
Sorry, so people asking about treasury auctions, I can't find any for today. I'm not seeing that there are any. But yeah, so market not doing too much right now. I did get out of my little meta short here, so pretty happy with that. I probably should have just been a little more patient for my fill for the second leg here, the second part of my position. But yeah, very, very happy to be able to do this in the sim here. I'm happy with this trade. In terms of small caps, yeah, people put your questions in. Someone asking about AVTX. Let's find out if is this a small cap, this AVTX here. Avalo Therapeutics. Oh yeah, I mean, it's under $1. So AVTX, I think, is an example of something that, yeah, like it definitely, this ran up during the market, which is interesting. This is not a pre-market one, this AVTX.
Is this right now?
Yeah, and then we kind of double topped here.
Oh, it's 5 pennies?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's really small. But yeah, no, someone mentioning AVTX, so I thought I'd put this kind of up to look at this. But yeah, I mean, I think definitely a very strong double top, I think, here around this 7-cent area. But yeah, I think in terms of entries, this one, it could also be, a pennant situation because we did have that, flagpole to the upside. We had a breakout in strong volume, but I would say, yeah, like make sure, like look at the daily when you're planning your levels, right? Because I appreciated Sharif saying that as well. Like look at, did we break pre-market highs? We very much did because this one was not running pre-market. Do we have a catalyst? I'm just trying to use this as an example of in the wild, looking at these little small caps. AVLO. Oh, AVTX. Okay, that is why I was not finding anything. AVTX. Yeah, I'm not seeing any.
I'll put it on.
Any news on this one? But
I
yeah.
like it.
Yeah, I think a level. I think if we break that 8-cent level, that could be kind of where the move down. Like we had a lot of really strong consolidation around the 8-9 cent level, so that would be an area I'd be looking for. Just pulling this up with regards to like planning a trade here. Yeah.
Fabian. Any way we could play the audio on this? Because people were asking about like, the best times for trading and like memories and stuff like that. They were asking me, but I think it's more appropriate if we get some of the big kahunas on here. You has to play it. Okay, so Fabian's gonna play it on his end, but Sean just posted this on X. I was about to say Twitter, but just posted this on X. You're gonna see a nice shot of him, Vanille, and Brendo. He's got the backwards hat on, so this is kind of nice. Yeah. You ready, Fabian? He's going to get it ready. So we'll just talk until he lets me know it's ready. This is an old clip. Sean, when is this from? October 2021. Whew. And this is DWAC. We're about to show you a DWAC. Yeah, I know, bro. It's almost 2024. We're about to show you a trade the Katina man took on DWAC. October 22nd, 2021. 2 years? Yeah, over 2 years now, yeah.
Oh my God.
That's your birthday? So you're a Cuspian. Oh, you're not a real Libra. Yeah. Ram is misleading all of us around here. All right, we good to go? Okay, let's do it.
His rally cap on because it's going to be one of those days, guys.
Bang! DWAC right now, guys. 100. We are at, wow, now we're $3 in the money. $7 in the money for the.
To me, that's just too reckless.
Bang! Through 100. There it is, man. All the way to the upside. And there's a $9 winner.
Quick scalp there. I'm doing this thing where I'm like reading the tape.
Have on our good luck new Air Jordans again. $13 now in the money. We have a $20 winner right now. I have the cheesecake is in the building. Sure, we'll calm down. We have whatever. $30 now in the money. No point even looking at anything else. $35 winner right now. $37 winner right now. There,
oh
25,
God.
130. Let's go. $40 in the money right now on DWAC. What just happened? 175. Oh man, that was monstrous, man.
Yeah.
Of our trade, and now it's 150, 160, 164, 169, 172. We are now higher than where we were off the open, guys.
Got to start taking some profit out. This is 950.
Just chilling.
Bruh. Where are those days, man?
That was very
oh my
entertaining.
God.
It's Friday.
Wow, that brings back a lot of memories. I probably watched that live. Wow.
And you're probably like, pump the money button.
Yeah, that was his thing. He'd go bang like that. That was his thing. And I'd start smashing my table at home when he started doing that. I was getting all excited and stuff.
It's like a throwback for you.
Yeah, that
like
really
you were
brought
like,
a lot
oh,
of
it takes me
memories.
back. Like, this is the Sean. This is what I remember when I was watching the, like, I mean, yeah, it's
That's literally what happened.
it's crazy, yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Let's talk a little bit about quadruple C. It keeps doing its thing here, man. It might be time to bamboozle a trade into this as we move up incrementally into that $5 area again. It's been a strong one. It's broken through these peaks and troughs over here. This 450 area looked to me like to be an important area of resistance. This trend line that I've got drawn in is actually quite interesting because it takes us from yesterday's breakout and it's held up pretty well as both a support area and a resistance area. Look at how it acts as support throughout here, acts as resistance here, acting as support again here. So extend your trend lines all the way to the end. At least that's what the book on Technical Analysis of Financial Markets by John J. Murphy, he makes that point very specifically in the book. He's like, you have nothing to lose. when you draw a trend line, extend it all the way to the end because you never know when it's going to come in as support and resistance level again, when it's going to get respected. Might as well draw it and extend it. So with this platform, for whatever reason, I have to keep redrawing it and extending it. Some other platforms, it just keeps going infinitely until you remove it. But quadruple C now over 100%. Could this be kind of like the catalyst that gets us moving in the small cap wave that I've been talking about? Where we have like a few more 100% names, triple digit names coming in tomorrow. If this one breaks through 5 and really starts squeezing, we might have something on our hands here. Let's look at the daily chart to see where some of the bag holders could be. Okay. So this is an interesting area. Look at this trough over here, right at 5 1/3, right? So this is interesting. Now, how long ago is this? This is December 2022. So it's a little bit over, almost a year at this point, because that was December 28th. So remember what I talked about, charting back as far as a year to see if you have any bag holders? Well, you definitely had some support at 550 over here, and then you had support at 5 1/4. So this area, if we break through 5 and really start squeezing through here, we could really get going. We're already above the 200 period, the 50 period here. Not like I really use those for small cap gappers, but it's good to note. Anyway, very, very strong day for quadruple C. We'll have to see if we get some continuity. Maybe we'll put some skin in the game on this one over here, Daryl. Let's go to the trading screen and see what we can bamboozle out of this. I'll send it to you here as I set up my order.
Yeah, I like that really strong resistance level there on quadruple C, and I think like, that's what I was kind of talking about earlier. Like, are the past daily levels helpful? So I appreciate you going over that.
Yeah.
As someone who definitely has more small cap experience than I do, I will attempt to address Ahmed Amwala's super chat. 729 AED. Why is BOBA 52 low? I'm assuming 52-week low. Is this good investment? Exclamation point, exclamation point.
Well, we don't give financial advice.
Oh, yeah, we do not give financial advice. I can look at the chart for you. And what I see on the chart is kind of making me sad, I have to say. I would not call it an incredibly promising look. It looks, we were kind of, sort of in a flat channel-ish for a bit here. Let me zoom out even further. Here's the daily. Yeah, this is kind of unfortunate. It's a little sad. We have, we had this, we kind of almost double topped more or less at this 122 area on the daily. Then we swooped to the downside. Again, sort of had a double top around 102. We had sort of a secure bottom of 80. We very much broke that bottom. What I have to say is it does not look to me to be a beautiful look. I will say, yeah, we do not give investment advice. The look is making me sad face. I would say, yeah, like it's been, like $70, this is not great. Really then, like you kind of, 62, I would, like for my personally, I mean like 62 would be an interesting level to me because BOBA loves doing these double tops. And yeah, like I think the clearest level from here would be 62. And honestly, with this like downward kind of channel we're seeing, it seems like we could go lower. I would say to me, there seems to be little evidence to suggest that this one is gonna go back to the upside anytime soon. BOBA is making me kind of sad.
Black sheep, happy when
BOBA, black sheep, where does BOBA go?
Sir,
yeah, I don't think to the upside.
All right, we're nicely in the money, almost 20 pennies in the money now on quadruple C's. We got long at 74s. I've got a beak wetter hanging out at 95s, just a smidge above, below that $5 area, but quite volatile is this stock as we come back down now into the 80s. A bit of a tug of war. Get it together, Sharif. Tug of war between buyers and sellers at this level. Let's see if we can get the print. We're looking for a move back into 5 and a squeeze above 5, but it may bamboozle you a couple of times before you actually get that move, right? It rejects, it comes back down, it comes to another level, so market makers can, reload their hand at it and squeeze you a little bit more. Here we go. Into 89s we go. I don't see any major size here showing up on the book. I see some size at 88. It's not awfully big. The 94 size, though, looks to be a bit bigger. There's size at 94 and at 95. Here we go. We're at 90s. Let's see if we can get some continuity. Decent size at 90 as well, but nothing to write home about. Let's see if we can squeeze 91. We're at 92. Here we go, baby. 93. Can we get into that 95 area? If we don't, if we reject, I'm going to flatten the order and take the profit. But there we go. Size at 93, so can't get above 93, and right back down we go. So that size at 93 holds us down for now. Using the time and sales, or sorry, the level 2 on small cap gappers is just absolutely a must, because if you have a big seller at a particular level, you need to know about them. It's not one of those ones where, you know, it's going to be a hedge fund piling in. 94, 95, there it is, baby. Spin the money on this bad boy again. Right up we go again on quadruple C. Good trade there. Now we're looking for that squeeze above 5. Now we've knocked on the door of 5 once. This is the second time around into 5. Do we get that move through this time? We're up 110%. Strong name so far. This one's really squeezing here, and it's really separating itself from all the other small cap gappers, ACAT included. Quadruple C really at a level on its own. Second day runner, guys. So we have levels off which to chart on quadruple C. Nice 20-penny winner there. Couldn't be happier about this one, even though not in big enough size, but whatever. We'll do what we can with this. Yeah. What time is it? 1:15. Guys, we get off the air earlier today. We're sending it over to the big kahunas. Well, the big kahuna. Today with Sean and Obi on the closing show. We're going to be sending it over early because today is FOMC day, as you very well know, and we're going to be getting the rate decision at 2 o'clock with Jerome Powell to fall on the podium at 2:30. Yeah,
the biggest kahuna, Jerome Powell. No, I'm joking. But also, you know, we'll see if we close the door here. Oh, yeah.
Hello. What is it?
Does the door need to be closed?
I mean, yeah, are you closing any doors? What's going on? Okay, we just broke through 5, guys. 504 now. We're squeezing big on ACAT here. So let's look for now. We earmarked 5 1/4 and 550 as potential bag holding levels off the daily. We're really squeezing. We're moving big. Let's see if it comes back down into 5, whether 5 acts as a level of support. We know for certain it was a level of resistance earlier, right? Because we couldn't break through that 5. We needed 2 attempts to break through it. So clearly it's defined itself as a level of resistance. Now it should act as some support. Now with these small cap gappers, you may have a breakdown below 5. What you're looking for here is how quickly it gets bought up once it breaks below 5. Are the buyers stepping up immediately to boost this one above 5, or are we going to trend back down into that support area at 4 3/4? So that's what you're going to be looking for here. In addition to that, what you want to see is what happens at 4 1/4 and 4 1/2, because that's a level we talked about on the daily as a possible bag holding level. Look at that. It dips below 5, shoots right up above 5 again. So that's what you're looking. That's the bullish indicator you're looking for. Even if it breaks that whole dollar level, is it being met with exuberant buyers? And there it goes, right into 5 1/4. Very strong. 517 the high. I think that probably only lasts for a few minutes as we looking to squeeze into 5 1/4, 5 1/2. A lot of volatility on the name, though, to be expected. 115% a dare.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you actually taking us through how you entered, because you know, talking entry and exit weeks, exits week, and today we're talking about small cap entry and exit. So I appreciate. Yeah, sorry. So I appreciate. I appreciate Sharif mentioning that. With regards to like how this actually, you know, kind of worked and how you would enter and exit this trade. Yeah, it's a really good look too. And you're right, like this is one that, because a lot of these small caps kind of peter off after opening. They're really strong in the pre-market. They're like doing their reps and then they kind of fall off the bench there. So I like that this one is what really mixed metaphor. But I really like that this one like continued. It's a really solid look. And I like too that it broke up. Like, you know, we had that higher high throughout.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Very good look. Also the red line on your chart, is that VWAP?
Okay, no. So the black line on my chart, so it's a little bit different on the white charts.
Oh, okay.
VWAP is black.
Okay.
And on the white charts, the black charts, VWAP is white. So I kind of flipped them in. I need to make them a bit thicker because I think they're harder to see here.
Yeah.
Especially the color. So I'm going to do that in a second once I send it back to you.
Of course.
I made them thicker on the side charts, as you recall. But
yes.
Yeah. So look, there's nothing bad to say here about quadruple C. The only thing that I'm really looking for is proof to me that 5 is going to be a support level, okay? It's not just enough to, you know, take the break through 5. We want to watch how it trades at 5 and whether or not the buyers were overwhelmed sellers at that level, much in the same way as we talk about the wicking dance at the 100-point levels on the future, right? We talk about the wicks below a key support level and then the closing prints all above. Here we go again, moving back into 517. Possibly we go on quadruple C. What the hell is the name of this company?
C4 Therapeutics.
Oh, C4. Well, I can call it C4. I think quadruple C is a bit of a mouthful. So C4, we'll just call it that. I mean, I'm sorry to harp on this name over and over, but it is the only small cap gapper that's making big boy moves at the moment.
I love that small cap big boy moves. I love that.
I know, right? I hate to harp on this, but you know, STTK doing bupkis, despite the fact that it tried its hand here at VWAP. But you know, if it doesn't have the move initially, typically won't have it unless it's an outlier. SPRC, same business, Adara. NXTP is the only one I have a little bit of hope for. And the only reason I have a little bit of hope is not because it's above VWAP at the moment. It's because the pre-market high was broken. The pre-market high on NXTP was that $1.19, $1.20. We shot up into $1.80. We've been below VWAP the majority of the morning, but now we're doing that dance with no pants here at VWAP. So let's see if we can get some continuity and use VWAP as a support level rather than a resistance level. So these are the only two that I'm really interested. Three, including ACAD. Those are the only three. The other two, not so much. We had another dip there on C4 below 5, got bought up immediately, but it looks like we may be putting in a topping tail candle here. I don't want to call it too quickly. Let's just see how it trades. Give it some time. Pack the patience, but it did have a dip right there into $4.95, which was immediately bought up. And typically why that happens is for those who have gotten long above 5, you know, the algos and the market makers want to bamboozle you thinking, you know, your stop is going to be 5 pennies, 4 pennies below that whole dollar level, and they want to wick you out so they can take your money and then shoot it right back up. So, you know, you got to be really strategic about where you place your stops on these small cap gappers. I don't think it's as easy. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's a bit clearer with the mega cap names where you need to have your stop. And there it goes, a new high a day, 521. This one continues to pump to the high side on C4. Keep a lookout for 5 1/4, 5 1/2. That's the level we've been talking about. That area on the daily where we could possibly have bag holders and where it could reverse. Up 123% right now is C4. Great day to talk about these small caps because we got one running in the wild.
Yeah, I'm really happy we found one in the wild, and thank you for using that. I think also too, yeah, I think it's like really, like I appreciate you looking back at the daily and kind of planning some of the exits on that and seeing where past levels of resistance are.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I think that's something that I've been trying to do more with, you know, with my trades. And so I appreciate this is something you can do on mega caps and small caps, even though sometimes they do not always, there's not always confluence in how one would trade them. But I like that, you know, like in that way, you know, you still need your technical indicators. You still need risk management. You still need to have, you know, look at past levels. So I appreciate you going through that for everybody. Yeah.
I just want to mention the Katina man is still in AMD. He's still in the short. He's over $1 in the money now as we break through that 136.5, and we're about to go to 136 1/3 here on AMD. A bad day for it as it's almost down now 1%, 0.86%. Somebody asking what the dang is happening with Apple. Apple moving up while the market moving down, and I could not be happier about this. Look at Apple right now. It is the lone Mag 7 name in an uptrend. Every other Mag 7 name down and to the right and below VWAP. Apple, the lone beast that is moving to the high side here, but for how long? I mean, we bottomed out at that 195.50 Adara. We just got a 196.50 touch there, but the high of day is 196.75 or 74 technically. Do we get a move back possibly into that? We still have a lower high. Like in all seriousness here, we have lower highs and lower lows despite this odd looking downward channel. It looks like a megaphone, to be honest with you. But yeah, we still haven't changed the trend all that much by putting in that higher high. We're really going to need to break a high a day to get things moving, but we're not far off at about 30 pennies at the moment off that high a day on AAPL as it continues to be strong. Look at Apple on the daily, guys. It has been very, very strong. Look at that October low when everybody and their mother's cousin was crying, myself included, when we got to that 165 and a third, adding hand over fist at that level. And thank God I did, because, well, we're in good position now. So I'm pleased this punch, as Adara likes to say.
Thank you.
I have nothing else to add.
Yeah, I'm just doing a test trade here. Yeah,
There's people talking in the chat. Bernard Tan, can I ask, will small caps like C4 be impacted by moves in the NASDAQ? You know, I'm never going to make a declaratory statement, but what I would say is my observation has been that they march to the beat of their own drum. You could have a big move down, the NASDAQ could be -2 and 3%, and you could have 4 small caps over 100% in triple digits. That's just been my observations in the past. I don't feel that there's any correlation between them. You know, make your own observations, but from my previous observations, they march to the beat of their own drum. Even Netflix is up. Yes, you're right. Netflix is up, but I don't include Netflix anymore in the Mag 7. Obviously, it was part of FANG, but you know, when you're doing 2 million shares on the day, it's just kind of hard to be Mag 7. Well, to be fair, Meta's only done 7, so.
It's Meg 7. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no. Well, Netflix, I go back and forth, like of including Netflix in the mega cap names and not including it. It's not really as clear cut as it was before. Walt, on C4, what would be a good stop loss at this level? Okay, so we were just talking about that, and you come to the chart because I want to show Walt what happened here at that $5 level. So you had the eventual break of 5, right? So this was the first attempt at 5 that was rejected, and we came all the way back down to 458. And then you got the second attempt at 5. That's the one that broke, and we got a nice move up into 530. But look what happened, pardon me, in the intervening period here. You had a dip below 5, and it got into that 495 area. I'm going to suggest to you that that is a very bullish signal, the fact that you had a dip right into that 495 area, and then the closing print was way above it at 505. So this, you know, this kind of phenomenon of stop hunting, where when you break through a key resistance level, you break down below it, and then you move right back up. They're trying to stop hunt you, because if you got long at 5 or just above 5, and you are using 5 as your kind of, or the general area for your stop, and you put it a couple of pennies below, let's say 498, 497, giving yourself a bit of buffer, well, you would have got triggered because it brought it down all the way to 495. So one of the things I would say is be strategic about where you place your stop. I don't really know exactly how much to put. I guess it would just be based upon the stock price and how much it's moved that day. If it's a penny stock, like if it's 50 cent stock, obviously that's going to influence where you have your stop versus a $5 stock. I don't have an exact percentage from the area. A lot of it's going to have to do with your own risk appetite. I would always want to place it below a lower low, but if you got in at 5, you're low. I like how he did that. Randy's actually not behind us. See, like when I reach over?
Yeah, well, for a second I thought he was behind us. And then I was like, well, that's right. I just saw that and I jumped. I apologize for the interruption there.
All right. Well, it's okay because you're perfect. Oh, hello, Randy. In case everybody doesn't know, it was this man's birthday yesterday. Yes. So for those of you who forgot to mention or forgot to wish our favorite Randy a happy birthday, throw up the happy birthdays in the chat, baby. No? All right. Well, and he drove a special car yesterday too. I'm like, Randy, what is this rocket you're driving to work? He's like, my buddy who has a car rental company let me borrow it, and it was an absolute rocket. Brendo was talking about that car too. He's like, the fastest car I ever drove. But here we go on C4. Look at this, Adara. We come into 5 1/4 and we tank.
Oh, you were right. It was the area of resistance that you charted earlier. So I guess charting basically what I think Sharif has shown us is that charting is really important still with the small caps.
It is.
Yep.
It is. We're looking for
levels.
bag holders. You're looking for bag holders because these guys, they've been holding the stock against them for 6 months, a year, and they can't wait to get out.
Okay.
So as soon as it comes into that break-even level, they're like, I'm outie.
I'm outie.
I'm outie to
Yes.
take a peek from Clueless, right?
Yeah, get out of Dodge.
I'm getting the hell out of here. right? Not going to say, you know, it's going to tank off here, but clearly we're having some selling at a very specific level, and that's at 5 1/4 level.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you pointing that out. And like, thank
Absolutely.
you also for kind of showing and for asking my questions throughout the day and everybody's questions here as well.
Pleasure.
With regards to levels on small caps, because I think it's making me realize I was always kind of worried about trading small caps and especially those penny stocks, but it's making me realize, like, you know, as long as you have a float that you can work with, as long as you're aware,
Yes.
as long as you're looking at past levels and you're, you know, using risk management principles, you can still trade. So I think I will be looking more at the small cap gappers in the near future now. In the future, I guess, now that I'm kind of aware of that. So thank you so much for
Yes,
going over
ma'am.
that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right. Doesn't look like anybody has anything to ask about small cap gappers. So if anything you want to talk about, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, meta short still looking short here. This flat channel, or not flat channel, sorry, downward channel, continuing, just kind of, you know, jumping in and out here, taking little baby profits. I do not know if I'd get back in now. A, the midday's over and I mostly trade in the midday. And B, it looks like we might just fully be falling off here. If we did, like 333 would be my one area now for kind of another scalp short moment. And I think too, what I want to learn from this trade is that I've been saying I feel like I've been more successful with scalps of my trades today. And I, you know, I mean, again, like paper trade in the simulator here, like the Netflix trade went okay. But I have to say, I think my most successful trade here was this meta scalp. And I think, you know, that reminds me, like even when I scalped long, you know, got a couple cents here, right? I think it's important to remind myself, like, you know, what are you doing well? Like what's working and what's not working? I think these longer term kind of holds are not working for me. And so I think as I kind of, you know, work in the simulator to, you know, see how that goes, I think it's good to like still take in mind, like what strategies are working? What strategies would I want to employ? Should I go live? And I think the scalping here is super effective. Also, when I look at this Netflix trade, when I just got out my first part of my position, this was fine, and then I held on to the rest for too long, right? So I should have just gotten everything out of that 475 or that 475.50 for the rest of it, right? So I think basically reflecting on these trades, kind of looking at what you're trying to get out of things, I guess, is kind of what I, and that's why I think it's like I feel very lucky to be in the simulator where I can kind of try out stuff and see what works and see what part of my strategy is working and what isn't. I think the scalpier the better, as long as I have tight stops and risk. Also, Greg Moore, Tesla setting up for more downside here. Yeah, let's look at Tesla. I had a brief long in Tesla earlier. I got out like really early. I was like, we break that lower low, bye-bye. I got outie of that. Yeah, no, you're right. This is not a bad look because we really failed that 231 60 area, right? Because look, we had this swoop to the downside here, and this is also where we took like a really steep 5-minute candle to the downside as well earlier. So I might be thinking, you know, like that 231.60 seems to be an area that Tesla does not want to, you know what I mean, to deal with. That being said, I would like to see, you know, kind of how we do at that 230 with regards to a short there, because 230 was when we picked back up earlier. Tesla's still down on the day though, so definitely not a bad look. I appreciate you mentioning that here. Greg Moore in the chat, out above 232. Greg Moore is saying, yeah, and I see what you mean about 232 because that would be a new high. So there we go. Yeah, that's the look on Tesla, Stresla, Besla, Depressla, Mesla, what have you. Yeah, right now it's definitely interesting between that 230, 231.60. If we break below 230, I could be intrigued.
This is hilarious. Apple we got a headline here.
I saw this, yeah, with
Apple
Spotify.
to be hit by EU antitrust order in fight with Spotify, reports Bloomberg, so make of that what you will. Despite that, Apple is absolutely rocketing up to the high side. It is at day's highs as we currently speak right now. Here it is. AAPL 196.74 coming into high a day. Very, very strong move for Apple as it is absolutely counter market. Look where the market is. We are 0.06% on the future, holding yesterday's close. This white horizontal line here on the NQ chart, March contract, that's yesterday's close. We're holding that for a second, but Apple doesn't seem to realize that, doesn't seem to know as it rockets up, possibly into 197, maybe later, I don't know. This is very much near, if we close at this level, this will be all-time high close. Let me move this stupid thing over.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we have never closed this high. We have had intraday wicks higher than where we are right now. I'm talking most notably about this July 19th day when we got into 198.23 Adara, so about $1.50 from where we currently are right now. Whew. but we have never, ever closed this high on AAPL. Let's see what we get today on Apple, but it seems to be very counter market, very strong on its own, despite the bad headline coming out of the EU with respect to antitrust. Keep your eye on that. We also have C4 continuing to do a little bit of a dance with no pants here at 5. Now, here's what I'll say to you. Sure, we got right back above 5, but we have a lower high. So be very aware of this lower high now, okay? Especially if we make a lower low through the break of that $4.86, $4.85 area. Then we'll have a downward trend, and we'll be rejecting that level. We already charted on the daily on C4 that 550 to 5.25 area on the daily is a resistance level where we could possibly have bag holders. Lo and behold, we rejected. The highest point here was that 530, and the highest closing print was $5.26, okay? So holding up, the thesis is holding up for now, and here we go. We're doing that dance at $5 again between buyers and sellers on C4. Still up 112% on the day. We'll have to see if we get continuity, but be careful here with the making of a newer low. I'm talking about a $4.85 break. SPY only, not Apple. What's up with the market? Algo's just doing their thing before FOMC. Could be very possibly, yeah. You know, people staying on the sidelines, waiting until, you know, they like what they hear from Jerome Powell before they hit the buy button. You never really know. These type of days, you could have any number of things that could happen. Raul, Sharif, Adara, can you take a look at Mara? You want to have a look at Mara for Raul?
Let's look at Mara. I leaned it way too close there. Mara. Let's see if it's doing a marathon today. Oh, actually, yeah, okay.
That's funny.
It's not a bad look at all. It's a really funky looking upward trend. And I say funky looking because it is one of the, it's, you know, some upward trends are like a narrow little sidewalk. Mara's is, I'm just trying to find a way to draw this properly. Mara's is like a nice thick like highway road. You know what I mean? Like we've got a lot of range here. I drew this so poorly. But yeah, it is an upward trend for sure. We had, you know, these touches of the top, these nice touches of the bottom here. We could be breaking out of here just a skosh to the downside here, but I can't tell if that's actually a decided move lower or I'm just really bad at drawing the trend line. So I would, yeah, like we have had the like 1, 2, 3, 4 candles to the downside. So I'd keep an eye on that. Right now though, generally not a bad look for Mara at all. Definitely some upward movement here, upward trend. For sure, and generally higher lows. Like I said, though, even regardless of my horrible trend line, we might make a lower low here. We already did make a lower low, actually, if you want to count this as a low. But I think if we break below that 15.5, that's when I would be like, how's it going? I would, you know, I'd ask Mara how it's feeling at this 15.5, because that seems like it could, you know what I mean, could be an area here that would be another lower low, regardless of where that trend line has been placed. But yeah, Mara and all these coin-related names have been really interesting. We had Mara, I think it was like 10% plus the downside on Monday, making a really nice comeback here. I do not think Mara is a bad look at all as long as we're continuing to make higher highs and not making lower lows. There we go.
All right, Lulu is being talked about in the chat, so let's look at Lulu for the viewers. Apparently it's having a good day, and I don't mind. Oops. Lulu, obviously, a Canadian company, and it's been doing real well, well, from the 8th onwards. Today's the 13th. Let's see what Lulu's doing on the intraday chart here, Adara. Okay, so Lulu is right on the day. Why are we talking about Lulu? All right, so.
The volume's not great either.
Anyway, am I good? Yeah. All right, 503.84, that's yesterday's close. Let's see if this area here that we found support at was a previous day support level. Let's go to the 15 and zoom out just a smidge, or a skosh, as Derek likes to say. No, sadly, this was kind of like a random level, 494.09, like say 494. Let's see if we had this level, another piece of the puzzle falls into place. Okay, so this was the high on that big move up, Adara, on the 8th. The high there was that 494 area, right? Where I think with the high of the day there was 493.98. So a couple of pennies below 494. but that's a random level. I mean, it's one that I would have been cognizant of, but I wouldn't have been charting off that level. I would have been more interested in yesterday's low. So whether it was that 495.70 area or this level over here, 498 or 499 area, none of those levels came into play, and rather we went all the way back onto the 8th and the highs there to act as support. So it can be quite, subjective as to what areas of support and resistance it's going to respect on the day. And therefore, if there's not an A+ setup, I'm going to stay away from it. Shout out to Fifester, or what, I think I said their name right. Fifester, yes. Fifester kept, wanting people to look at Lulu. It's a good look. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice V-shaped recovery, but just a random area for it to find some support. And then if you're getting in here, well, why are you getting in here? What are you seeing? You're just seeing a couple of green candles. Well, how do you know it's not going to turn around on you? The market's coming down, Lulu's going up. I got nothing off which to base it. So with all due respect, Lulu would not have been on my list today, despite the fact it's making a nice recovery off the bottoms and the fact that it does have some confluence with the highs on the 8th, but it is a subjective thing. We didn't hold up yesterday's lows. We didn't even hold up the day before's lows. But Friday, for some reason, the lows on Friday have been respected. So not one that I would have been ready to trade or have charted for. But shout out to you if you made money on it, Fifester. I couldn't be happier. Now, with respect to quadruple C, we are back above $5, but we're doing that lower high thing. So I need to see that continuation. Now, we are doing a bit of a compression pattern here, right? We had that big move up. That could be construed as the flag. And then what we do is we get the breakdown to 485, and now we're getting higher lows in the same way that we're getting lower highs. So it's doing a bit of a compression pattern, much like what we saw earlier on ACAD, where it did a bit of a compression pattern and broke out of that. Let me look at the 5 here on C4 to see what it's like. Yeah, it's not a bad look. This could be absolutely a bull flag in the same way that this was a bull flag. You come down in here and then you break up again. So decent look here on ACAD. I'm just, I'm suspicious of the area of 5.25 to 5.5, but hey, we already took some P&L, some profit on it, locked that in and got out of Dodge. But good luck so far on this name. Nothing really to complain about here. Keep your eye out for a breakout, though, especially above that 530 if we really start moving above there. Nolan Antonucci, why are we talking about small caps on Fed Day? Because, my friend, today was the day when we were going to talk about entries and exits on small caps. Yesterday, we talked about how to trade economic events, prepping you for the move today on FOMC. If you watched yesterday's episode, you know exactly what I'm talking about. No point in telling you how to do it today when it's already happening. So we thought maybe we'd throw in small caps. Sorry to, talk about something that maybe you're not interested in, but we got to cover all bases here. Let's see what else is being talked about in the chat. Any thoughts on coin, Robin Sandhu? You want to have a look at coin for Robin Sandhu?
Yeah, let's do the whole, we did Mara too, so we'll look at coin for right now. Also, while I pull this up, I appreciate you showing how well that $5 level held on quadruple C, because we were talking about the penny stocks as well with that $1 level. So it's interesting to show how sometimes those dollar levels can be kind of major on these smaller caps. So yeah, okay, Coinbase. Do your thing 21. No, I'm joking. Let me see. I'd like to look at this just for a moment here. This one, kind of hard for me to read. It looks a little bit compression-y. And why I say that? So low, high, lower low, lower high. That's why I say compression. It looks like we're going to make a higher low. So basically, higher lows, lower highs is what I'm getting from Coinbase. We're up on the day. We did have that catalyst with regards to Coinbase, and it's, I'm going to pull this up so I get the right words here. Yeah, global strategy with a non-US spot trading initiative. So yeah, global expansion. So definitely an interesting catalyst for Coinbase. Lots of movement, volume about 4.37 mils. So not a bad look for Coinbase. Definitely a basis for this move for coin with regards to that global expansion. Yeah, I do like the look of this. And yeah, I would say I would probably wait and see, get a better sense of if this is going to break out, because we're pretty neutral on the day. We're just slightly positive, so could break to the upside. But I'd probably be a little hands off until you get a strong sense of
I got to tell you something.
Please do.
You may not know this, Today is your dad's favorite.
I know this.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't even
I'm
get
sorry,
to
I'm not
finish.
mad at you.
I didn't even get to finish. So it was Randy's birthday yesterday, but now it is Taylor Swift's birthday. Shout out to all the Swifties. Where'd he go? Wrong one. That's a Katina man. All right, I'll let you guys do that. I know. It's all good. I'm talking to the Chile Nightmare, by the way. It is Taylor Swift's birthday. So, I mean, is your dad doing any sort of celebration or anything like that?
Okay, literally, so the man got so upset after last time I ran it. He's like, I am not a Swiftie. He sends this whole text thing, like, I don't know why you're calling me a Swiftie. And then he's like, well, like, I'm just joking. Because I guess, but basically, I love that he like clarified.
It's so funny.
But no, my
I love
dad is, shout out to him, great human. But yeah, no, if you still listen to the music, I'm not going to say you're not a Swiftie. I'm so sorry. But yeah, it is her birthday, and I only know this because she's always going on about her birthday. But yeah, so sorry for yelling there. I was not yelling at you.
Okay.
I was yelling at the situation. But I mean, yeah, now she is 34. So this is an adult woman. That's all I'm going to say on that.
She's a grown woman. Yes, there you go. This is funny. With love to all, says, happy B-Day, Randy. Nobody cares for Taylor. Whoa. Well, she'll agree with you there. But I'm not like I have an affinity for Taylor Swift, but come on. Yeah, Jem Lucky says, who the hell cares? He doesn't care about Taylor Swift either. All right. Enough Taylor Swift talk, guys. All right, we have 1 minute left. We are going to get off the air about 15 minutes early today. The Katina man getting prepped. Randy sitting in OBC. Obi scrambling to get back and put on his mic. It's been a hell of a day, guys. We've been talking about some small caps, how to enter and exit them, how to trade them, what to look for, how to look for them on your scanner. Thank you for obviously being with us today. We just put in a new high of day on C4 as it comes into 535. It is now up 123%. Something tells me this monster absolutely runs and continues to run, but keep an eye out on the levels that I earmarked on the daily chart, that 5.25, 5.5 area. You could find resistance going back into December of last year. There could be some bag holders at that level. So be careful with this stock as it is obviously quite volatile. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, beautiful look on C4. Thank you so much, Shuri, for talking me through all of this and letting me ask questions. I hope people, learned some stuff today, and we will be back for more entries and exits. But for now, it is time for Mr. Jerome Powell to maybe close the door. We'll see. But yeah, for now, same bat time, same bat channel. Brendan's at the big desk.
Hey guys, 15 minutes to go here. Countdown is on until we get the Fed decision, and also